Hello everyone, welcome to What If Naruto Was Trained by Dragon and Became Fairy Tale Dragon King Part 1. Before we start, please go support Mario Isle for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistake in character's gender, but of course Naruto is a male. Chapter 1. I am that. In a country known as the Land of Fire, a village developed, not just any village, but a village full of ninjas or shinobi. This village was known as the Village Hidden in the Leaves of Konoha for short. This village was considered the most powerful of the elemental nations for its unbreakable bonds and strict teachings on teamwork. But our story doesn't begin with them. No, our story begins with the family. Within this family were 4 members, the parents and the children, one a boy and the other a girl, but this wasn't what the story was about. Oh no, it was the members. The father was none other than the leader of the village, also known as the Hokage, and his name was Minato Namikaze. He was the current Hokage, or the 4th Hokage, and had earned the nickname the Yellow Flash for his speed. The mother was a beautiful woman by right of anyone. She was Kushina Namikaze, and she was once known as a fearful kunoichi due to her very short temper. He was so scared that he'd been given the nickname the Red Devil of the Leaf because of the way his hair would turn when he got angry. The other 2 were 2 little 7-year-old children. One was a girl with red hair like her mother, but with hazel eyes. He was a carbon copy of his father, except he had 3 whisker-like marks on either side of his face. Right now we find the boy in his room looking out the window at his parents training his sister before he tried to learn, but his parents just ignored him. Why, you might ask? Well, 7 years ago, when his sister was born and he was born, a man attacked the place where his mother was giving a light outside the village. The man in the mask attacked and was able to tear the 9 tails from his mother and set out to destroy the village. But Minato was able to take the 9 tails to an isolated area, and with Kushina's help he was not only able to defeat the man, but was able to seal his chakra for a certain amount of time. After driving the man away, they held the 9 tails together and sealed half of it into their daughter Mito, and the other half into Kushina to allow her to survive. The girl was then presented to the village by her parents, and told the village that their daughter would be the protector of her village, causing the villagers to worship her as a hero. Although the boy was an outcast and rejected him for his sister, everyone didn't even know that the Hokage had a son. The boy grew up as a mere shadow of his sister, always forgotten about everything: family vacations, parties, dinners, and even his birthday. His father simply thought of him as a pest, and now the boy was getting tired of it, and decided to try one more time before he finally gave up. The boy ran to the family library and began searching for something that would surely impress them and get them to finally acknowledge him. And climbing trees and walking on water, I'm sure Mito doesn't know this yet. I'll learn all of this today and show them. They'll be so proud of me that they'll surely start teaching me with Mito. Naruto said loudly, and soon he took the scrolls and headed to a training ground near there to start training. When he got there, he saw a small lake and many trees with a clearing. He soon reached a tree in the shade and started reading. After about 30 minutes of reading the scrolls, Naruto got up and went to a tree to start climbing first. As Naruto started to climb, he slips and crashes into the tree. "Oh man, that hurt. I guess that means I didn't use enough chakra. Well, no use crying about it," Naruto said as he got up and tried again and again until finally, after almost 3 hours of trying, he was able to get it right. "All right. I did it," Naruto said to himself, and led him running up and down the trees as well as upside down. "Well, you better move on to water walking to show them everything I learned today," Naruto said after he finally calmed down a bit and had a short break. Soon, Naruto began trying to learn how to water walk and found that it was based on the same principles as the tree climbing exercise. But because he mastered the tree climbing technique, he was able to do it in just an hour. "Man, I'm tired, but I did it. Won't they be proud when they see my moves?" Naruto said with a small smile as he drank some water. After resting, he decided to run home to show them what he had learned. Naruto never noticed a beautiful white-haired woman looking at him with a motherly smile and a face that radiated love. "Come on, kid, I'm surprised that after so much you are still able to smile. Don't worry, no matter what happens, I will always take care of you," the woman said before turning into a kind of golden dust and disappearing from the place. With Naruto. Naruto ran home and went straight to the backyard to find his parents and sister. He found them sitting and resting while eating ramen, so he approached them calmly as to not surprise them. "Mom, Dad, can I show you something?" Naruto asked as he looked at them with hope in his eyes. Minato and Kushina simply rolled their eyes and nodded for him to go ahead, which showed them both surprise and infuriated them. However, Mito was surprised that her brother knew things that she didn't know yet, since her parents hadn't taught her those things because she wasn't ready yet. "So what do you think is cool, huh?" Naruto told them as he dropped down from the tree he was standing on. Before Naruto could continue showing them his water walking exercise, his father walked up to him and punched him in the face. "What the hell were you thinking, Naruto? Who thought of this for you anyway?" Minato yelled at him, making Naruto have tears in his eyes. Then he stuttered out a reply. "I took a scroll from the library to learn it," Naruto said, now crying. "Who gave you permission to enter the library anyway, huh, Naruto? You're in a lot of trouble, young man. Now go to your room and stay there. You won't be understanding anything," Kushina said as she slapped Naruto across the face. "I hate you all. I wish I was never born into this damn family," Naruto shouted, causing both of them to get shocked and hurt their faces at what Naruto just said. Naruto ran off to his room. Mito wanted to talk to her brother but couldn't find the words to say, so she just stayed quiet. Later that night, Mito was currently laying in her bed staring at the ceiling and thinking of a way to make it up to her brother. She had been thinking about it for the past 3 hours and still hadn't come up with anything. What if I ask Mom to make him a special dinner? No, that won't work. Oh, I know, I'll teach him some of the things Mom and Dad thought would make him happy. You better go and tell him right now, Mito thought as she got out of bed and headed to her twin brother's room, which was to her surprise at the other end of the house. Once she got there, Mito knocked on the door only to be met with silence. "I've never been to the brother's room before and I wondered what kind of stuff he has in there. Why isn't he answering? Could he be asleep?" "No, I think he's just mad and giving us the silent treatment." Mito thought about it and knocked again, but when she didn't get a reply this time, she just went and opened the door. Inside, the room was empty, and that surprised her because in his room he had way too many things, from posters to stuffed animals. Her brother had nothing but a bed, a small dresser, and a lamp. She couldn't believe her eyes and started looking around, hoping to find something that would tell her where her brother had gone. That's when I found a note pinned to the wall at the top of the bed's headboard. She reached out and started reading it, and as soon as she finished, she screamed. Kushina and Minato's room. Kushina and Minato were getting ready for bed. Kushina was sitting on the bed reading a book while Minato was taking a shower. "Hey Minato, do you think we were a little harsh on Naruto today?" Kushina asked as she put her book away and looked at her husband, who just came out of the bathroom. "I don't know, Kushina, maybe it's just that it was a shock knowing that Naruto went and did something like tapping into his chakra without telling us that it could have hurt," Minato said as he got into bed and stared at the ceiling. "I know, but maybe we should teach him. I mean, he needs this after all to protect himself," Kushina said as she looked at her husband. "Yeah, okay, we'll start tomorrow and maybe he'll forgive us," Minato said with hope in his voice. "Oh, I bet he will if you teach him your Rasengan," Kushina said, making him smile. "You're right." Well, Minato couldn't finish his sentence because at that moment they heard Mito scream and instantly ran to her room. When they arrived, they found it empty and decided to go to Naruto in case something happened to him too. When they arrived, they entered and found Mito on the floor crying and repeating the words "I'm sorry" over and over again. Kushina ran to Mito and hugged her close and whispered sweet things to help her calm down. Meanwhile, Minato decided to look for the cause of Mito's situation. He found a note on the floor and decided to read it aloud. "If by reading this I'm already gone, I've decided to leave and I'll never come back. You've shown me that you don't want me here, and as such I'm going to parts unknown and leaving you three to be the family you always wanted to be without the burden of a pest like me. I've severed all ties I have with this family. So if we ever meet again, never speak to me as your son. You two lost that right a long time ago. Enjoy your life with your only daughter." Signed, The Forgotten. As soon as he finished reading, Minato bolted out of the room and the house and headed to his office to start a search party in hopes of finding Naruto. But by the time Minato and anyone else started looking for Naruto, he was already gone. 2 hours earlier. Naruto sat in his room thinking about everything that happened and wondered what he had done wrong. After about 30 minutes of thinking and getting nothing, Naruto decided he had enough and started packing. Once he was done, he went to the family library and ransacked the place, taking everything to train himself and show them that he could get stronger without them. He then sat down and wrote them a letter and left the compound, and as he walked down an empty street, he saw a woman standing in the middle, almost as if she was waiting for him. This woman has the appearance of a beautiful, curvaceous woman, with long light hair that extends down to her hip. For attire, Celine dons a loose kimono with a fur lining at the top and floral designs throughout, as well as zigzag lines on the edges. The back of her kimono has another layer of fabric without intricate designs. Her head is covered by a hood adorned with an upturned crescent moon with a gem on top and a pair of wings on either side. She also wears a pair of socks while wearing wooden sandals, complementing her Japanese appearance. "Hello, Naruto," the woman told him, which scared him a little since this woman knew his name. "Why, yes, how can I help you, ma'am?" Naruto asked as he looked at her nervously. "Don't be afraid, my little one. I've come to take you from this place and give you everything you always wanted, a family," the lady told him, making Naruto's eyes widen. "Can you really do that?" Naruto asked. "Yes, dear, I can. So what do you say? Will you let me be your new mother and give you the love you deserve?" the woman asked. Naruto immediately jumped up and hugged her, surprising her. "Yes, please take me as far away as possible," Naruto said as he cried on her shoulder, causing her to soften her eyes and return the hug. "Don't worry, now let's go. There are some friends of mine who want to meet you," she said with a sweet smile, and then disappeared in a flash of white light. When they reappeared, they were no longer in Konoha but in a different and beautiful place. The moonlight illuminated the small lake, and an immense forest covered everything around, and said forest was so thick that if one entered they would get lost and never be seen again. "Where are we, Mom?" Naruto asked, although with a little hesitation, although the woman simply beeps. "This is one of the few sanctuaries of ours, a place where man has not been in more than 400 years. And now wait a bit, my friends should come soon." "Come? Who?" he questioned with a tender nod, causing the woman to have to use every ounce of willpower to avoid screaming kawaii and hug him until he was blue in the face. "Don't worry, you'll like them for now. How about I tell you a story to pass the time?" suggested that Naruto just come closer and then sit on the ground, eager to hear a story from his mother. As soon as Naruto sat down, the woman did something strange. She began to create something similar to very shiny golden dust that began to form figures and then began to narrate a story that seemed more like a legend and a prophecy. From the god tree 2 beings were born, 10 tales that caused destruction, desolation, and death, and the king without scales who loves and protects all that has been created, fighting between them tirelessly for death or salvation. One day salvation sought help from those who possessed the eyes of the gods. 2 brothers, the eldest possessed eyes that are like depths in the water, and the younger possessed those that look like 2 beautiful flowers. With the help of these 2 men turned into gods, finally managed to defeat his eternal enemy. His strength was us to create 9 beings that would guard the part of the world that was devastated by the great battle, and his body was locked in the star that reigns over the night skies. With 2 new friends, the great king left the shinobi continent behind, never to be seen again for many ages. Outside, time passed, and the great king found his queen, and with her 13 princes were born. The eldest reigned over the night skies and was as beautiful as the moon and the stars. The second reigned over the day and the fire. The third and fourth identical twins, and at the same time opposite. One reigns over the night and the shadows, and the other does it over the light and the day. The fifth was in charge of reigning over the forests and the mountains. The sixth possessed a body as pure and bright as silver. He was entrusted to reign over the valleys and the deserts. The seventh reigned in the most distant corners of the kingdom, because his presence alone married evil and death. So even his heart is as pure as gold. The eighth possessed a skin as hard as a diamond. She reigned under the earth. The ninth is as cold as ice. She reigns in the frozen lands of the north and south of the world. The 10th has a spirit as free as the wind. She reigns in the skies like the most beautiful empress. The 11th strong as a rock and as loyal as a dog. He reigns on earth. The 12th with the power of lightning reigns over storms. And the 13th, and the smallest of clumsy and kind spirit. Beautiful like the sea, she reigns over the great blue. these 13 little princes and princesses helped and advised the great king, leading his kingdom to great prosperity, one that was soon overshadowed by a great darkness because a 14th prince was born. As dark and evil as it ever was, the great enemy with a treacherous attack ended the great king, who before dying cursed the youngest of his children to never become king until he defeated the true king, being the only clue he left for his beloved children to find some last words. Who will reign over all is the one who will be born in the territory where eyes like waves in the water and the most beautiful flowers are seen as God, will be born into a lineage of great legends, and the two greatest will be his parents. Raised in abandonment will forge his character, and the love of the 13 princes will give him the heart of a king. The true and the false will fight 5 times, tying 4 times, and on the last occasion, the true king will prevail, and with his power he will bring peace and prosperity or death and desolation to these lands that I loved until my last breath. Naruto wanted to ask anything, but before he could do it, a heat began to feel in the area, and for some reason, despite it being around 2 in the morning, the sun had begun to shine, and out of nowhere in a call appeared in the clearing a creature that would make the Kyuubi look like a dwarf, because this was a gigantic creature at least 50 meters tall. It has the structure of a dragon, with 4 legs armed with strong claws and 2 large wings. Its scales are reddish and yellow tones. It resembles a large lion, with a large red mane and large fangs. Its eyes are a bright blue color with black sclera. On its head it has 2 large horns, and its tail ends in a tuft of red hair. "It's been a long time since our last meeting, Celine Nay," said the imposing creature, making Naruto get a little scared. "Everything is fine, Naruto-chan. This is my beloved little brother. He is Kaiser the Sun Dragon." "Brother? That means he's my uncle. Technically, as well as one of your teachers." "They are teachers? The story I told you was about my father, and I believe that the child he told us about in his last words is you, Naruto-chan. You have the same heart and eyes as my father, and also feel a great source of magic coming out of you. I don't understand, but no matter what you want to train me, that's because they think I have potential, so I promise not to disappoint them," he said animatedly, making Celine smile and Kaiser make a terrifying smile. But hey, you can't ask more from a giant dragon. 6 years later. Just as Naruto had sworn, he did not disappoint anyone, because he was, in the words of his new mother, a damn sponge of knowledge, because there was no spell or fencing kata, unarmed combat, or jutsu that he could not learn. So much so that Kaiser no longer had anything else to teach him after only 3 months, but that had its good side, because when that happened, another sister, Amuri, appeared. A clumsy and cheerful dragon of just 1,500 years old, who fell in love with Naruto almost immediately after meeting him, and she taught him the Dragon Slayer of the Dragon King of the Sea, an art that he mastered in just over 4 months, mainly because they spent more time playing in the water than training when they were together. When he finished with Amuri came his nightmare king, Ghidorah the Storm Dragon, a terrifying dragon with golden scales 158 meters high. What was terrifying? Simple, that had 3 damn heads, each one with its own thoughts, and with the bad tendency of being in permanent disagreement between them. Reason why Naruto took 6 months to learn Dragon Slayer of the Storm Dragon, because of the messes he made for not knowing which head to listen to. After Ghidorah came Altaria, the most beautiful dragon he had ever seen in his life. With her he learned Dragon Slayer from the Dragon Emperor of the Sky, that allowed him to dominate the wind. What relationship was there between the sky and the wind? To this day he still does not know. After Altaria came the largest dragon that Naruto would ever see in his life, one that even made Ghidorah look like a dwarf behemoth, a wingless dragon more than 300 meters tall with 2 fangs protruding from its snout. He taught Naruto Dragon Slayer of the Dragon King of the Earth. After Behemoth came Aizen, the Arctic dragon, who according to Kaiser lived up to his reputation as the dragon that reigns over the ice by only showing Naruto the DS of the Arctic dragon without trying to establish a more personal bond. After Aizen came Ruby, the crystal dragon, whose scales are so hard that only her father King Ancalagon could pierce them and hurt her. She taught Naruto the DS of the crystal dragon. Then came Silvers, the silver dragon, a dragon whose Dragon Slayer magic was almost entirely hand-to-hand combat except for his roar. After Silvers, Naruto had to leave the sanctuary to go train in a dead wasteland with Cobra, the toxic dragon whose presence killed every living thing. Despite that, Naruto saw that Cobra had a noble heart, because he always encouraged Naruto, and thanks to that he learned the DS of the toxic dragon in just 3 months. When Naruto returned to the sanctuary, he met Eden the forest dragon, who was Cobra's theoretical nemesis, who taught Naruto the DS of the forest dragon in just another 4 months. And almost to finish, Naruto met the twins Rage and the bright dragon and X's the night dragon, born from the same egg but with opposite magics. Also discovered that due to Ragen's pure magic he could use the god's slayer of light and its other elements, although on a smaller scale than that of light. And thanks to the dark magic of X's he could use the devil's slayer of the dark demon as well as those of its other elements, although on a smaller scale. Finally, the last full year with his mother, from whom he learned the dragon slayer of the dragon god of the moon, his most powerful magic to date. And after having begun his training with his mother and brothers, Naruto had become a handsome young man of 14 years. His hair was still blonde, but it was no longer spiky at all, being now straight, that he wore long tied in a ponytail, with 2 bangs framing his face, and a small lock of hair falling over his eyes, which were still blue, but now his pupil looked more like a reptile's. His cheek marks had also disappeared when he asked why his mother only told him they were residues of Karama-san's chakra or the Kyuubi from when that woman was gestating you. I suppose your body had to eliminate it, and that's why you lost your marks, but it doesn't matter, you look prettier without them. In their place there were now a pair of marks similar to Tobirama Senju's, only thicker and purple. And on his forehead a mark similar to a crescent moon had appeared, which is the symbol he inherited from his mother Selene when he completed the DS style of the dragon god of the moon. Her attire also changed greatly. Gone was the orange jumpsuit with the Uzumaki symbol on the back and shoulder. Now her outfit includes a spiked pauldron covering her left shoulder attached to the upper section of her heart, and lotus petal skirts. The kimono is mostly white with a red and white cherry blossom crest on the collar and sleeves, showing that she is of royal birth. She wears a Sashinuki hakama that gathers at her ankles, producing a balloon effect. Her footwear consists of black ankle-high booties. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is that right now Naruto and the colony are walking in the middle of a mountainous terrain, looking for something that Ghidorah had mentioned was necessary to complete his training. So Ghidorah and I, where is this? What did you call it? Oh, right, that dragon colony you mentioned before. Naruto asked as he looked at the blonde on his left. Be patient, little brother. It's just beyond this ridge, so we'll be there in about 10 minutes. The blonde replied, noticeably annoyed. It didn't help that his other siblings, including Selene herself, had gotten the idea to turn around and ask him the same thing every 2 minutes. And true to their word, 10 minutes later they were on the ridge looking down at the valley below, and they were seeing maybe 5 dragons flying or just sleeping. This is it, I was expecting a good group of a similar size to ours, but only 5. Naruto said as he watched the dragon doing its thing. This has a simple explanation, Ototo. We are the largest colony with 14 members, these being you, Selene-sama, my brothers and me, and since there are not many dragons left, I suppose that these 5 must have joined together in the hopes of surviving. Since we are normally loners, our group being an exception in being brothers. Ghidorah explained in his conference mode, only to become depressed when he realized that Amuri and Kaiser were pushing Naruto to leave to avoid his fabulous conferences. If my good little brother remembers, these won't be like our training matches, and if you give them the chance, they'll kill you. Now get down there and show the king's power, they both said. I get it too. I hate Ghidorah and these boring lectures, don't push me. I shouted and then jumped onto a large rock, causing the Sun Dragon and the Queen of the Mares to fall on their faces. Don't worry, I'll make you all proud, Naruto said before jumping into the valley, not seeing the smile on his mother's face. You've already made me proud since the day I met you, Naruto, Selene said, then turned to look at her other siblings. Do you think he'll be okay? Selene asked. I kick X's ass, who was the 3rd strongest of the 12 guardians, Raijin commented, earning a grunt from his twin. It'll be fine, in fact, I bet he'll be done with this in exactly 10 minutes, X's commented, annoyance in his voice. I hope so, Selene whispered. And with that they turned their gaze back to where the blonde had gone to find Naruto walking towards the dragons, who were looking at him with surprise, amazement, and hunger. With Naruto. As Naruto walked towards them, the dragons just stared at him, and when Naruto was in front of the 5 dragons, one approached him and asked him a question. What are you doing here before I devour you? said a large blue dragon, and all Naruto did was get into a fighting stance and yell attack at it, which surprised the dragons. Roar of the storm dragon, Naruto chanted, and from his mouth a huge tornado of lightning shot out straight at the blue dragon, which was pierced through like butter. Before the dragon's eyes, the blue one fell to the ground, dead, with a huge hole in his chest where his heart should have been. The others were shocked to notice that Naruto had disappeared, and by the time they realized it, he was already dead. Arctic Dragon Freezing Fist. After almost 10 minutes, all the dragons were lying dead on the ground, with Naruto sitting on top of a dragon corpse as if it were nothing. Well done, Ototo, that was absolutely amazing. You are now a true dragon slayer, and now that you have bathed in the blood of a dragon, you have activated your boost, and thanks to our upbringing, the bad part of dragonification you no longer have to worry about. Kaiser told him, while Naruto nodded. Now there's only one thing to do, my little one, Celine said, making Naruto look at them and wait for what he had to do. And what could mother be? Naruto asks with a nod. Naruto live, see the world, travel and meet new people, join a guild, make friends, find a good partner. We have finished your training, and as much as it pains us to let you go, we have no other choice. Naruto, you are 14 years old, and you don't even know the world outside of the Dragon King's island, so please Naruto, go out and find a great adventure too. Go on and find a friend on that adventure, okay baby? Hugging Naruto to her chest, and all Naruto could do was hold her as he too began to cry. Don't worry, mom, brothers. I'll make you all proud and have the best adventure anyone could have. My name will be known everywhere, and when someone asks who thought of you, all I'll say is, about my mother and brothers, Naruto said with a smile. Okay, I am not going to cry anymore, honey, Celine said with a smile. After those words, Naruto just gave his mother one last hug and, Shorty, you've been a pain since I've known you, but you're the most pleasant pain I've ever met in my more than 2,000 years of life. Today, with pride, I, Kaiser, the great dragon of the sun and the second son of Ancalagon, call you my little brother, said the redhead, and then gave a manly farewell hug to the blonde, who for many years he learned to love like a younger brother. And when he finished, the blonde fixed his gaze on his first younger sister. I'm not good with goodbyes, so just hug Amiri and we'll be done with this, she said, then hugged Naruto, who had slight tears in his eyes. He had also grown very fond of Amiri, because she was like the sister that person couldn't be for him. So one by one they all said goodbye to Naruto, some like Cobra, Ruby or Altaria being more emotional, while others like Aizen, who despite also loving Naruto could not help but remain as cold as a block of ice, literally. And when everything ended, the 13 princes, now converted into the 13 guardians, took Naruto near a small town, and after that they returned to the island of the Dragon King to wait for the day when the boy they had been raising, educating and training for almost 100 years, on the island of course, would finish off the false Dragon King. Rosemary Town, some time later. Rosemary was a beautiful small town with no wizards or guilds, just farmers and families. People were enjoying a beautiful sunny day, their children running and playing in the park. The elderly had smiles on their faces as they watched the future generation having fun. But no one was prepared for a stream of light that descended from the sky and landed directly in the middle of the park, scaring the children with the light of day. When the lighting disappeared, everyone saw a young boy of 5 years old shyly scratching the back of his neck. Note: Naruto can change his appearance at will and decided to live out the years he didn't live as a child due to his training. That's why he took the appearance of when he was 5 years old, when he is actually 14. Or 85 if we take into account the altered time of the island of the Dragon King, although he retains his marks on his face and his hairstyle. Sorry everyone, I didn't mean to scare any of you, but this is my first time in this village and well, I didn't know if this was a good place to land. Naruto laughed. All right, young wizard, just refrain from doing it again, the old man said, waving it off as if it were nothing. Naruto just walked over and ran to where he could smell the food without noticing a girl his age, looking at him with wide eyes full of amazement. Naruto. As Naruto ran through the crowd, he saw all sorts of things he had never seen before, but he kept his emotions in check, as right now getting what he needed was most important, as the sooner he finished the sooner he could begin his quest to make a name for himself and finish off the evil son who murdered his technically grandfather and king. Naruto walked into store after store buying everything he needed, from water, apples, pre-made sandwiches, milk, some candy bars, orange juice, apple juice, oranges, mangoes, kiwis, ham, bread, cookies, chocolate muffins. Naruto was simply buying things he heard his sister Amuri say were delicious or sweet. Yep, Amuri might be over 1,500 years old, but when it came to sweets, she was a little girl. By the time he was done, he was about to head out of town the same way he came in when he bumped into someone. Oops. Hey, look, where are you going? A female voice shouted, making the redhead look at her angrily. I'm sorry, it's my fault, I wasn't looking where I was going, please forgive me, Naruto said as he helped her up. The girl just looked at him and paused before taking his hand and standing up, still looking at him. Hey, you're that kid who showed up on the playground with the lightning bolts, right? She asked the girl, a little too excitedly. Yeah? All Naruto saw was the girl's face change to extreme happiness before she walked up to his face and grabbed his hands. Can you teach me how to use magic to please? I promise you'll be the best student ever, the girl asked. Naruto looked at her with wide eyes and stared at her as she looked up at him with puppy dog eyes. But what about your parents? Naruto asked, only to see her face sadden with tears forming at the corners of her eyes. My mom and dad died in a fire when I was a baby. I've been living in the village orphanage, but I want to leave and see the world, so please take me with you, the redhead begged. Sigh, okay, I'll do it, but first, what's your name? Mine's Naruto. The blonde introduced himself. Urza's the name, so don't forget it, Urza said as she puffed out her chest trying to look. So you don't have a last name? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. Not that he cares, since he had abandoned his real last names and none of the last names his brothers and mother offered him convinced him, so they decided to simply be Naruto. Well, no one could give it to me since my entire family died, so they never bothered to look for it, and you don't have one either, so why ask for mine? He accused Urza, trying to hide his sadness for not even having that to remember his parents by. Well, how about you make one for me and I make one for you? Sounds like a plan, Naruto asked, making Urza blush a little, since in her little mind Naruto was proposing since she had seen it happen for a long time. Or so he thought, since the only place he saw it happen was with a teenage couple who called each other names, and he immediately thought they were getting married. Okay, how are we going to do this? Urza stuttered while blushing prettily and started playing with the dirt, while keeping her eyes glued to the ground and playing with it. Index fingers. Well, let's look at each other and see what's the first thing that comes to mind when we look at each other, Naruto said, causing Urza to look at him and nod. For 10 minutes, they stared at each other, looking up and down, occasionally walking around each other. To the adult passing by, they thought it was cute to see two 5-year-olds looking at each other. I got it, Naruto said, bringing Urza out of her thoughts to look at him. Okay, what did you get? Funny question. When I first saw you, the first thing I noticed was your hair, Naruto said as he grabbed it a little and felt it between his fingers, making Urza blush at the closeness. What about my hair, really? Urza asked as she looked into his eyes. I was attracted by the color of your hair, Scarlet. Yes, I like Urza Scarlet. Doesn't that sound good? Naruto asked. Urza, on the other hand, grabbed her hair and looked at it, and then looked at him before smiling and sporting a small blush. Urza Scarlet, I like her, Urza said as she smiled at him with a watery smile. Naruto simply smiled at her, happy to see her smile. Even though he had just met this girl, he felt compelled to make her smile as if that would somehow help him. After all, she reminded him a little of himself, since he also never knew the love of a family until he found the 13 children of Ancalagon. I think I have one for you too, Urza said, wiping away her tears. She was happy to finally have a last name to tell others, and for some reason this guy made her feel really happy and safe, like if she stayed with him, nothing could hurt her. What is this really? Naruto Mikazuki, Urza said, making Naruto look at her. Mikazuki? Yes, it means crescent moon, and well, it's hard to miss this one on your forehead, she explained while pointing at the crescent moon on her forehead, making Naruto blush a little. Mikazuki, yes, I like it, so from now on I'm Naruto Mikazuki, Urza sounds even more cheerful at that. Well, let's celebrate our new names, Miss Scarlet. Naruto joked. Why Mr. Mikazuki, of course, Urza joked. They both laughed as they walked to a random restaurant to celebrate. They arrived at a simple shack that served barbecue, and the two enjoyed a pleasant lunch together. When they left, they were both very full and began to walk and chat about any subject. Naruto told her what he was going to teach her during his trip to see the world, which made Urza a little nervous at the possibility of traveling for a long time with him. Obviously, Naruto would not tell her about his mother and brothers. The girl would possibly see him as crazy if he told her that his mother was one of the 5 dragon gods and his brothers were the sons of Ankalagon. Urza, however, only told him about the city and what it was known for, which was its peaceful nature. Suddenly, an explosion occurred near the center of town, frightening Urza and causing Naruto to enter full mage mode. Naruto took her hand and the two began to flee, but they soon found themselves blocked by men in black cloaks and carrying strange staffs. Hey, we have 2OV, the man couldn't finish. Roar of the Sky Emperor Dragon. Naruto roared, sending a tornado of wind from his mouth that would make the first Holy Mage's Gale Song and Gale Dragon Moon look ridiculous towards the small group of 3 mages, sending them flying. Come on, Urza, we have to wait, this isn't an accident, this is an invasion. Naruto shouted over the sound of people screaming. But why, what did we do to them? Urza asked as she let him throw her away. I don't know, but we have to Naruto didn't finish as he was surprised by a burst of green plasma. Urza watched him as he flew through the air. She was about to run to him when he stepped out of the rumble of the building he demolished and stood in front of her. Urza, I need you to go take as many as you can leave for me, Naruto ordered her. But she began, only to be silenced by his gaze, a gaze of a combat veteran. This isn't the time to argue, so just do what I say. Okay, now go save whoever you can and leave. I'll be right behind you, I promise, Naruto shouted, making her flinch. Urza froze for another 10 seconds before nodding and running away, but not before screaming. If you die here, I will never forgive you, understand? Urza shouted as she ran down an alley and disappeared. Are you done with your little soap opera? A man asked before being silenced by Naruto's iron fist. His brother Aizen had taught him to stay calm in battles and also to control his emotions. No matter how brave he appeared on the outside, inside, he was angry. This place was like the nations: war, hatred, and death. Oh, you piece of shit, get it, you'll make a great sacrifice for Lord Zeref in the tower. All Naruto saw was a plasma blast of 10 to 5 teenagers coming straight towards him, and then everything went blurry. Some time later. Everything hurt right now, in his head, arms, and legs, but he could have sworn someone was calling him a second ago. Naruto, there he was. Nah, who could that be? Nary, he knew it was familiar. Naruto. Then it occurred to him that the voice belonged to Urza? Naruto said once his head was a little less fuzzy. Naruto! Thank God you're okay. I was worried for a second, what happened? Urza asked, giving him a hug. Ugh, I don't remember, but what I do is hit one of them and all of them shoot their staffs at me and then nothing, said Naruto while massaging his insoles more for the fart that would fall on him if Ghidorah found out that some mages whoever took him out so easily than for anything else. Where are we anyway, Urza? Naruto asked. On a ship he owned, Urza replied, making Naruto look at her, grateful that the Emperor of Heaven's DS made him immune to movement sickness, or he would be dead right now. And where are we headed? The Tower of Heaven, replied an old man sitting next to him, smiling at him. Who are you? Naruto asked. Naruto, this is Rob, he helped me find you, said Urza. Oh, well, thanks, Naruto said, bowing his head slightly in thanks. No, thank you, my son. Now come and sit down. There's nothing we can do now, Rob said as they looked at them sadly. What do you mean if I use my magic I could get us out? Naruto said. It's not that easy, because those handcuffs on your hands and legs prevent you from using magic, so sit down and let me tell you the most amazing story about the guild in all of Fiori. Naruto and Urza frowned determinedly. Listen, since there was nothing else to do. Well, Naruto had one last way out, but he wouldn't use it unless it was strictly and absolutely necessary. What guild would that old man be? Naruto asked. Oh, this guild is known as Fairy Tail, and it's not just a guild, it's a family, Rob told them. Both Naruto and Urza sat up a little straighter, wanting to hear about the guild that wasn't just a place to find work, but a big family. Now listen carefully. Okay, it all started when our first teacher Mavis Vermilion. Throughout the journey they listened to his tale of Fairy Tail and wondered how to join. For the moment they had completely forgotten about the tower and Naruto about something much more important that had to do with 13 angry dragons burning ships, which is what the old man wanted. Well, the last part was more of a lucky addition than anything else. Chapter 2. The Tower of Heaven and Fairy Tail. Naruto and Urza. Naruto and Urza were sitting in front of the old man who was telling them about Fairy Tail. Hey man, where's this Fairy Tail? Naruto asked as he played with his handcuffs, trying to find a way to remove them. Magnolia Town on the other side of the country. Why? Rob asked. I'm thinking of joining if what you told us is a real old man. Naruto, call him Rob or even Grandpa Rob, I mean he helped us, Urza said after hitting him on the head. Rob just looked at them and smiled at the scene in front of him, happy to see them smiling even in a place like this. How about this, kid, when we finally get out of here? I'll take you to Fairy Tail myself and talk to the teacher about letting you join, Rob said as he helped Naruto up. Would you really do that for us, Grandpa Rob? Urza asked with stars in her eyes. Really, so don't worry, it's fine. Urza smiled at him while Naruto rubbed his head and nodded. It was then that they felt the boat stop, and Naruto stood in front of Urza while Urza held on to him tightly. Not even a minute later, a group of 5 of those mages came down and began pushing the prisoners off the boat. When they tried to grab Urza by the hair, Naruto jumped and the roundhouse kicked him in the head, sending him flying and crashing through the boat. Everyone was surprised by this, even Rob, and when the other wizards saw this, they were scared. Don't you dare touch her or I'll kill you with my own hands, Naruto growled. The other mages then used what looked like a floating ball to send a stream of light toward him. It was then that they all witnessed something that greatly surprised them. Naruto swallowed the light like it was nothing, and without knowing it, a strange tattoo appeared over his heart. Stay back. I may not be able to use magic, but I'm still a dragon slayer for a reason, Naruto said, adopting the dragon fighting stance Silver taught him. The mages simply stepped back and Rob stood in front of them both, and neither noticed a plasma injection coming from behind them until it was too late. Ah! Naruto shouted, making them turn around. They saw Naruto get hit by over a dozen plasma beams that knocked him to the ground. Naruto! Urza shouted, going over to him and helping him up by placing her right arm on his shoulder. Energetic little brat, aren't you? Said a huge wizard as he pointed at them with his staff. Move before I decide to practice my aim with you 3, another said. All right, we're moving, Rob said as he grabbed Naruto and Urza and left. They pushed them down the ramp and up a hill to what looked like a construction site. Urza stayed close to Rob and held tightly to his tattered pants as she carried Naruto in her arms. I'm scared, Urza moaned. Don't worry, Urza, as long as I'm here, and no one will hurt you, Naruto grumbled as he took her hand that was resting on Rob's arm. Urza smiled at him and nodded, somewhat relieved to know that she had Naruto with her. They realized they were being taken underground and saw dozens of cages, each containing up to a dozen prisoners. All right, gentlemen, this is your new home, and if you need to do your work, the bucket is over there in the corner, ha ha ha. One of the wizards laughed after pushing them into a cage. Urza watched Rob lay Naruto on the ground and tore one of the only 2 blankets to use as makeshift bandages. Will Grandpa be okay? Urza asked as she looked at Naruto with concern in her eyes. Don't worry, dear, he'll be fine. I've heard these dragon slayers are really stubborn and tough, so I doubt something like this will keep him down for long. Urza smiled and sat down on Naruto's right side as she took his hand and smiled at him. Naruto woke up a few minutes late and looked at her. I guess now's a bad time to mention I have a mom and siblings outside waiting for me, huh? Naruto joked. Yes, but if you don't come back, won't they come looking for you? Rob asked. I don't think it's a good idea for 13 dragons over 100 meters long to come here, pissed off for kidnapping their young. I see. Rob knew Naruto's mother was off the list of possible rescuers. Rob then watched him go back to sleep with Urza lying next to him, and snuggling up to him and falling asleep as well. Don't worry, you two. I'll protect you with my life, and I promise you'll see Fairy Tail one day very soon. Those were Rob's thoughts as he went to sleep next to them to keep an eye on them. Naruto, 1 week later. It had been a rough week for Naruto as the guards always tried to harass Urza. Naruto, of course, always intervened before that, but it always ended badly. Like when he had found 3 guards surrounding her once when they made him work in the morning and she in the afternoon. Flashback, 5 days ago. Naruto had been working non-stop since dawn and was just getting back. He knew Rob was working the night shift with Urza, so he didn't expect anyone to return to the cage. Let me go! Help! The scream caught Naruto's full attention, as it was Urza's scream. He immediately ran over and found her being held by 2 men while the third appeared to be starting to undress. Relax, girl, it'll be fun, ha ha ha. The guy above laughed. Naruto saw the tears in Urza's eyes and saw her trying to defend herself. He looked down at his handcuffs and glared at them, knowing he couldn't hurt them enough with them on. But when Naruto heard the ripping of clothes, he dropped everything and charged at full speed towards them. Oh! The Magi turned to see who had screamed, only for the fat pig on top of Urza to fly back. They turned and looked at the person responsible, only to find Naruto glaring at them in unbridled rage. That wasn't the terrifying thing, though. His eyes now had yellow sclera, though they were still blue. Why, you little brat! I'll show you how to stay out of our business, said the fat man as he stood up. Naruto didn't listen. He jumped towards the man holding Urza's legs and kicked him so hard that the other 2 heard his neck snap. Without wasting any time, he threw an uppercut at the man holding his arms and saw him take a few teeth with him. The fat man reached for his staff only for Naruto to be on top of him in an instant and start beating him mercilessly. Don't you dare touch her ever again! Naruto shouted as he grabbed her left arm and snapped it like a twig. The man screamed and tried to get away, but Naruto was having none of it and jumped on his head, burying it in the ground. The latter was terrified because all he saw was a dragon roaring at them, and he froze in place. When Naruto turned to face him, he ran toward him, not wanting to mess with the dragon. Naruto, seeing this, tried to go after him to kill him like he did with the other 2, but stopped when a pressure landed on his back. Stop, Naruto, please, I'm fine by you, so please stop scaring me. Urza sobbed, making Naruto calm down immediately and turn around to hug her to his chest where she was crying with her eyes open. Naruto saw that the rag of her dress was in tatters, so he stepped aside, took off his shirt, and gave it to her, telling her to put it on. He turned away to give her privacy and waited for her to finish changing. All done, and Naruto. Urza, are you really okay? He asked. Urza nodded with the smallest of smiles. Yeah, thanks to you, they did nothing but rip my clothes off, so thanks, Naruto. Naruto received another hug from her, and this time he hugged her too tightly. Go to sleep, Urza. I'll watch over you while you sleep. I won't let anyone near you, so don't worry. Oh, okay, I'll try, Urza said as she headed towards her pillow and lay down to rest. Naruto didn't move or sleep that night as he watched the guards walk by. When Rob returned, he told him what happened since the dead guards were still there. Rob took this opportunity to take the guards' t-shirts to use as blankets and spare clothes for the children. Naruto never left Urza's side from that point on. If he went to work, he took her with him even when the guards tried to force her to stay. But Naruto proved to be unbreakable as he was caught the next day and dragged to the center of the tower with everyone watching, including Urza and Rob. The next day, still flashback. The next day when Urza woke up, Naruto checked on her to make sure she was really okay and Rob helped her too. I said I'm fine, Naruto, really? Urza complained for the umpteenth time. We know, honey, but we have to make sure she's okay, Rob said, looking at her bruised wrists and ankles. Urza nodded, but then paled, and Rob and Naruto turned to see what had scared her. They saw the head guard standing outside her cell with the surviving guard behind him sporting a black eye and a cloth over his mouth that looked bloody. "Take him away." That's all the head guard said. Naruto stood in front of Erza in case they chased her. They didn't, since they went straight for him and punched him in the stomach, grabbed him by the hair, and proceeded to drag him away. "Naruto!" Erza and Rob shouted, following them. They watched as he was dragged to the center of the tower where they saw every slave there wondering what happened. "It has come to my attention that this boy has attacked and killed 2 of my men. Now I'm a good guy, aren't I? I mean, I gave you food and clothing when I could have easily starved you to death and made you work naked, but I didn't, so why do you insist on resisting me, huh?" The chief guard loudly asked the crowd who were afraid of what he was going to do to a 5-year-old boy. "But even I know that punishment is due around here, so I'm going to show you all just how bad I can be if all of you don't follow the rules," he shouted at the last part. "Do it!" Everyone watched in horror as not 1, not 2, not even 3, but a total of 10 men took out their whips and began beating Naruto with them. The bad part was that each whip had a total of 5 blades on its end, making it even more painful for poor Naruto. Erza and Rob watched helplessly as the whips lashed out at Naruto each time, tearing at the flesh on his back. They saw that it was so painful that he couldn't even scream in pain. They all watched for a total of an hour as the 10 men whipped his exposed back. They all saw his blood paint the ground red. They all saw his nails dig into the post where they tied him. But what they all remember was his gaze. He didn't cry, he didn't beg for it to stop, no. He glared at the head guard with such hatred that even he flinched a little at the children's will. When they finally stopped, the head guard untied him and was about to throw him off the stage when Naruto said something that really scared him. "Torture me, beat me, hate me, do whatever you want to me, but you'll never break me, and when the day comes when we win our freedom again, I will personally show you the king's power," he said, standing up. With those words said, the head guard threw him off the stage and quickly walked away, not believing that this kid could still say that after what he did to him. Rob and Erza quickly ran up to him and glared at him before Rob took him back to his cell. The guards didn't care as long as the slaves got the message, so they just went back to what they were doing. Back in their cell, Rob ripped off the last blanket and began soaking it in the bowl of water they received once every 2 days, it seemed. Rob then cleaned his gruesome wounds as best he could, with Erza crying as she held his hands. "Grandpa, are you going to be okay?" Erza asked with tears streaming down her face. "He'll be fine. I'm sure Erza is a fighter after all, and she promised she'd be there for you, so I'm sure she'll never break her promise," Rob said, placing the rag on his back before taking his own shirt and tearing it off as well. He then tied it around Naruto's torso to hold the other rag in place, and tied it around Naruto's front like a bandage. When he was done, he placed him face down on the floor to keep his wound clean and let him sleep with Erza on his left side. Erza cried herself to sleep, thinking it was her fault he was in this condition. Rob simply watched them sleep and promised himself he wouldn't let anything like this happen again. Flashback end. Naruto. It had taken him 3 full days to recover, and when he did, the guards didn't give him time and sent him back to work. But not before he took Erza with him, and the guards were angry to think the boy had learned his lesson. "And Naruto, calm down or you might get hurt." Erza's worried voice brought him out of his thoughts. "Don't worry, Erza, I'm fine, see?" Naruto demonstrated, taking his stone and carrying it with his own. "Please, Naruto, calm down for me?" Erza said while applying the puppy dog eye technique. Naruto shuddered when he saw it, as Erza knew when she did that she had him under her complete control. "Okay, I'll take it easy." Naruto gave in, making Erza smile at him. "Thanks, now let's go. Our shift is over and Grandpa Rob said he'd tell us more about Fairy Tail," she said happily as she took his right hand and ran towards her living space. 3 years later. A lot had happened since they were brought here 3 years ago, but the bond between Erza and him remained as strong as ever. Not only that, but they also made new friends in the form of a 4-year-old girl named Miliana, a 7-year-old boy named Wally Buchanan, another boy the same age named Simon, and a 5-year-old boy named Sho. Naruto became the older brother of the foursome after teaching Wally, Sho, and Miliana how to read, write, and do math. He discovered that the tattoo over his heart was a magic storage rune, and that the more magic he stored, the greater the output. He told them all, of course, and they only asked one question: how would that help them? Naruto then went on to tell them that if he stored up enough magic, when he was sure he had enough, he could break his cuffs and have his full power and magic for a time. Everyone was shocked by this, as they knew that when that happened he would be able to help everyone be freed from this hell. "Big brother, what are you going to read tonight, huh?" Miliana asked. Naruto found that since he was a dragon slayer, the manacles only affected him half as much as the others. So he was able to take advantage of his re-equip slot, but he just hated that his slayer styles sucked up a ridiculously high amount of magic to the point that they would leave an average B+ rank mage, slayer-type mages being the exception, without magic in one attack. Still, that was more than enough for him since everything he needed was there. He found that the food he bought at Rosemary's was still there and still working even after 3 years. So every now and then, when the guards weren't looking, he'd give Sho, Miliana, Wally, Simon, and Urza a piece of the chocolate bar he had. He even gave them a small sip of his milk every morning, along with a piece of fruit every now and then. Rob knew that Naruto cared deeply for the children, as he would defend them from the guards, even to the point of receiving punishment for them. This saddened them all greatly, as he would never allow them to be touched if he could avoid it. Naruto had been whipped, starved for weeks, thrown into freezing water for hours. If only they knew Aizen had stuffed him into an iceberg, thrown into a dark room and forced to stay there in his own filth for days. But he never broke once. Instead, the guards saw that he was inspiring the slaves with his will to never give up. How's Little Red Riding Hood, huh, Miliana?" Naruto asked her, making her smile. "Hooray! And can we have more chocolate, big brother?" Miliana asked. "Just a little bit, since I don't have much left," Naruto told her, making her nod and run back to her cell, since it was nighttime. When he got there, he saw Sho, Miliana, and Wally hiding behind Simon with Urza looking confused until she saw him coming. "Naruto, come, look!" "What's up, Urza?" When he reached the entrance, he saw a boy about 8, maybe 9 years old with dark blue hair and a strange tattoo over his right eye looking at them curiously. "Hi, my name is Jalal Fernandez. Do you know where I am?" the new guy asked. All the kids looked at Naruto since they knew he was the one in charge here, with Rob sitting in the corner and watching them with amusement. Naruto stepped forward and rubbed the back of his neck before looking at him and sighing. "Well, nice to meet you, Jalal. I'm Naruto Mikitsuki and this is Urza Scarlet, and well, I guess you can call us the big brother and sister of our little group," Naruto said as he extended his right hand. "Yes, and these are Wally, Miliana, Sho, and Simon greeting you," Urza told them. Hello, sup hey," the four said, making Jalal nod in their direction. "Nice to meet you all, but again, can you tell me where I am?" Jalal replied, shaking Naruto's hand and looking him in the eyes. "Oh well, how do I say this? This place is called the Tower of Heaven," Naruto said while rubbing his neck. "We're slaves for short," Simon told him bluntly. "What?" Jalal shouted, his eyes widening. "Yeah, we were all taken from our homes and brought here against our will, but we tried to make the best of it anyway," Naruto laughed. "How can you say that so calmly? We're slaves here. You should find a way to escape," Jalal shouted at Naruto, causing Simon to stand in front of him. Simon had an angry expression on his face, which was a strange sight to see since he was the quietest and most reserved of the group. Only Urza and Rob knew why he was so angry. Naruto was like a brother to him since Naruto was teaching him how to understand magic and hopefully use it someday to find his little sister. "Aren't you going to talk to Naruto like that?" Simon told him more than asked. Jalal just looked at him, wondering why he was so angry just because he raised his voice at the blonde. "But you guys should be trying to get out of this place, so you don't want to stay here?" "Who says we're not, Jalal?" Naruto asked after putting his arm around Simon's shoulder, who was a head taller than him. "Really well, what's your master plan to get us out, huh?" Jalal asked sarcastically. Everyone else was starting to like Jalal less and less because of the way he treated the only person who loved them and treated them like family. Aside from Rob and Urza, that is, since Urza was like an older sister or a mother with the way she treated them and cared for them. Rob was like a grandfather, as he mostly just told stories and ruined them with how he protected them from Urza's wrath sometimes. Naruto, on the other hand, was like a father with how he made sure they were safe and how he would risk his own life for them when they got into trouble with the guards. Every time Urza caught him giving them candy, she would scold him saying that they should eat healthier and not just candy. Well, Jalal, you see, I know how to use magic, but because of these handcuffs I can't use them as it prevents me from doing so. I've been storing magic for about 1.5 years in a special rune I have on my body. And when the time comes I will unleash that stored magic, breaking my handcuffs and allowing me full access to my magic, thus allowing me to get us out. Naruto told her while Miliana nodded her head at him. Good, and you better be nice to Big Brother, since he's the strongest one I know and can hit you very fast. Miliana said childishly, making Rob laugh. Oh, well, how long's that going to take, huh? Jalal asked. About another year, maybe 1.5 years. Naruto told him. Okay, that's enough of this, how about I read you all another story, huh? Naruto announced as a book appeared in his hand. It was then that Jalal saw that everyone in the cells surrounding them instantly moved to be closer to his own. What's this tonight, Naruto-sama? Another slave asked from a cell across from him. Please don't call me Sama, Naruto said, but anyway this time it will be Little Red Riding Hood, Naruto said, making many of the children in other cells smile. Well, sit down and listen carefully. Okay, once upon a time, there was a girl. Jalal watched as Miliana, Sho, and Wally sat across from him, listening intently, while Simon leaned against the wall, but he could be seen listening. But what caught his attention was the redhead, whom he couldn't stop staring at, even though he saw that she seemed too close to that Naruto. Jalal couldn't help but feel jealous seeing Naruto and Urza so close even though he had just met them. Jalal decided to sit in the back to listen to the story for now. 6 months later. Ever since Jalal joined them, things had gone horribly wrong. First, there were the constant arguments he and Naruto had over how to do every little thing. Urza and the others watched as Jalal tried to make the others distrust Naruto. However, it always failed, as the others were loyal to him because of all he did for them. Naruto had even managed to get more children into his little group. One was a boy with a snake who liked to be called Cobra, while his real name was Eric and he was about 5 years old, just like Sho. Another was a strange boy obsessed with speed, and since he didn't want to tell them his name they just called him Racer, and he was also 5 years old. Then there was the girl who was 6 years old and got attached to Naruto like a crazy fangirl who likes Naruto to call her Angel, and everyone else just went with it. The last one was none other than Wally's older brother Richard, who was 2 years older than Naruto and Urza. Wally hadn't stopped crying when he saw him, and now both of them were almost inseparable from each other. Miliana and Angel got into a lot of fights over who Naruto loved more, which was sometimes entertaining to watch. Sho and Cobra along with Racer became good friends as they all looked up to Naruto because even though almost all of his power was locked away they could still feel his overflowing power. Jalal, on the other hand, distanced himself from them and was always caught making plans on how to escape from this place, which worried Rob and Naruto at the time. Now, though, we find Naruto, Urza, and Rob talking together with the children playing with each other in their small cell. That was until they saw Jalal coming running down the hallway, opened the cell doors, and rushed in. Jalal, what's wrong? Rob asked. I thought I found a way out of here and went to check it out before coming to tell you, but some guards spotted me and chased me here. They didn't see me, but I think they're leaving to come see you anyway, Jalal said while his hands were on his knees trying to catch his breath. Urza and the others were shocked and angry that he would do something so stupid and put his family in danger. Before any of them could yell at him, Naruto stepped forward, stopping all the arguing. Jalal, you're a really stupid kid, aren't you? Before he could answer, everyone heard the doors slam open and looked at him. They found the head guard smiling at them. Well, look what we have here, guys. I think we just found our culprits. Take the blue-haired one and the red-haired one, the man shouted. Naruto, upon hearing this, moved to grab Urza and prevent her from being taken, only to be slammed to the ground by no less than 10 men. Let me go, you bastards! I won't let any of you lay a finger on her, Naruto yelled, trying to free himself with no luck. While fighting, he saw Urza being dragged away and also saw his friends in the corner with 4 guards with staffs pointing at them. Naruto! Urza shouted as she tried to reach him with her right hand. Looks like I'll have to go ahead, no matter what. Naruto tried to do the same with no luck. He saw them take it, and the last thing he saw was the head guard laughing and hitting his boot in his face, knocking him unconscious. A few hours later, Naruto woke up about 30 minutes later and instantly started banging on the bars of the cell while screaming at the top of his lungs, trying to find Urza. The kids cried into Rob's pants, not believing what was happening, and they all blamed Jalal since it was his fault this happened in the first place. After 2 hours of screaming and beating his body against the bars, Naruto slid down the wall with tears streaming down his face. He stayed like that for about 3 hours until they heard the cell doors open. Everyone looked up only to see Urza fall inside before the guards started walking away, laughing at her pain. Urza! The 10 shouted before running towards her. Naruto reached her first and saw what he least wanted to see, which was Urza without her right eye. Everyone started crying more until they felt a strong pressure on them and looked to see a terrifying place. Golden scales covered Naruto's face, arms, back, neck, and parts of his chest and sides. His hair seemed to glow in the dim light down there, and his nails had grown to about 2 inches. His already sharp, prominent teeth became more prominent, his eyes turned an icy blue with slit pupils, and the moon mark had turned red and seemed to be on fire. However, what caught their attention were the waves of magical power he was releasing, along with the golden shroud around him. They saw his handcuffs shatter. And Naruto? Urza asked after finally beginning to regain consciousness. Naruto looked at her for a second, and what she said next made him even more angry. Naruto, they're going to kill us all. That was all he said as he tried to stand up. Thanks to Jalal, the plan has changed. He shouted as he brought his hand to the rune and released it, causing the magic boom to be even bigger than before. Follow me closely, guys, we'll get out of here today. With that, Naruto sent a gust of wind towards the cell door that blew them away. Before they moved, Naruto turned to Urza and removed her eye patch and gouged out her right eye before putting it back in its socket and using his Sky Emperor Dragon Slayer magic. Big brother, why did you do that? Miliana asked him. If I can help you, I will. Losing an eye is nothing to me. Naruto before leaving followed by everyone. They ran towards the exit and were able to get outside where everyone was watching them. The head guard saw them and was about to mock them until he saw Naruto and got scared. Naruto stared at him for a good 5 minutes, and then suddenly, everyone saw him take a deep breath. Everyone, plus the kids and Rob, wondered what he was going to do. Their questions were answered when he opened his mouth once more. Roar of the Solar Dragon. Everyone witnessed the power of his attack as he unleashed it toward the tower. The guard chief was petrified as the attack missed him by at least a foot. When he turned to look at the damaged man, he nearly urinated in the enormous hole in the tower, about 3 meters wide. Naruto didn't stop there. Oh no, he quickly turned towards the direction where he knew the boat was and fired another attack. Arctic Dragon Freezing Breath. All the slaves watched as the tornado of icy wind crashed against the gates that held them prisoner and looked on with joy as the entire gate, the wall, and everything were blown away by the attack. All of you, it's time to get your freedom back, so take it for yours once again, Naruto shouted, earning a roar of thanks and tears of happiness. The guards seemed to have finally snapped out of it and began attacking the fleeing slaves. Naruto, seeing this, sprang into action. Urza, Rob, take everyone and go, I'll be right behind you. Without giving them time to respond, he ran to the front of the attacks and met the attack. Naruto! Urza and Rob shouted. From inside the fiery attack they heard chewing and gulping, and all the guards stopped and watched as their hell was devoured by none other than the blonde-haired boy. Burp man, that was good, I'd almost forgotten what it would taste like, but now I'm on fire. Urza and everyone else watched Naruto run towards the guards and saw why the Dragon Slayers were so feared and awesome. Wings of the Solar Dragon. Arctic Dragon Freezing Fist. No matter what the guards tried, they couldn't hit him, as he always absorbed their attacks. Many of them fled while they still could, while others desperately tried to hit him and keep him away from them. Night Dragon Roar. Urza. During all this time, Urza and the others were able to reach the boats and begin preparing to leave. Urza, seeing this, thought they should wait for Naruto, but she remembered what he looked like and had a new idea. Hey everyone, set sail as soon as you're done, okay? Don't look back or try to go back, he shouted from the side of the boat. Correct, was the general response. Big sister, do you think Big Brother is still there? Miliana asked. Don't worry, Miliana, Naruto is a dragon slayer and I know he'll come back. But right now he's buying us time to leave, so we'll do just that, and when he sees that we're far from this place, I'll leave and he'll join us. Urza told her. We're ready to leave, Urza, a random slave told her. Let her sail now. The man simply ran away as he was a little scared of her at the moment due to her sudden change of mood. Soon the boat moved and Urza turned around and saw the Tower of Heaven getting smaller, and she couldn't help but smile knowing the nightmare was over for now. Naruto. Naruto was currently squeezing the life out of every guard he could get his hands on. He had already killed the lead guard by shooting a Sun Dragon roar at him at point-blank range, literally the point-blank part. Now he was stalling while he waited for the boats to move a little further away to ensure his safety. He was on the verge of failure, as he almost missed the beam of magic that was fired at his location. He was able to move fast and was able to get in front of him and eat him whole. When he landed, he looked to see who it was and saw no one but Jalal. Jalal! What the hell are you doing? Naruto yelled at him. Jalal didn't respond with words, but simply smiled a crazy smile and raised his right hand, making a magic circle appear. His danger senses tingled. He did what his mother always told him to do in a situation like this. He trusted his instincts and jumped to the right, just in time to see a column of darkness appear right where he was standing not a second ago. He looked at Jalal, knowing it was him who had just tried to kill him. Well then, no words with that. Naruto made his move. Shining Spear of the Silver Dragon. His attack missed by mere inches and he saw Jalal do something strange. The next second, Jalal glowed yellow and then disappeared from sight and appeared above him. Naruto let his pure instinct take over and was able to dodge in time, but not before grabbing Jalal's leg and using his elbow to deliver a powerful blow to his thigh. Jalal screamed in pain and grabbed his left thigh in pain. That was the only distraction Naruto needed to use his lightning speed to get in front of him and deliver the finishing blow. Hard Fist of the Earth Dragon King. The attack landed home in Jalal's stomach, knocking the wind out of him and sending him flying into one of the few standing walls around. However, the wall collapsed on top of Jalal. Naruto was about to rush over and help him, but remembered that he was the reason Urza got hurt and deactivated his dragon force instead. As he walked away, he didn't notice a little 8-year-old girl appear and smile in his direction while covering her mouth with her sleeve and laughing. Naruto Mikazuki, huh? You really are interesting, dear. How I wish I could use you instead of this useless toy, the girl said while kicking Jalal in the face, which Jalal didn't even respond to. Perhaps in the future I can play with you, but for now I'll settle for second category. With that, 2 men appeared behind her and picked Jalal up. Ma'am, what shall we do now? The first one asked. Both wore a mask with what looked like an eye in the center. Let's head back to headquarters for now and inform Master Hades about his failed little project, the girl said as she walked away. Yes, Lady Altair. They both saluted, and one of them threw Jalal over his shoulder and left the area. Urza. Urza kept her eyes on the ocean in the direction of the tower, hoping to catch a glimpse of Naruto's return. Then, out of nowhere, she saw him riding a wave as if nothing was coming their way. Naruto! Urza shouted happily and headed towards him the moment she landed on the boat. Urza! Are you okay? Naruto asked worriedly as he looked at her closed eye. Yeah, I'm fine now, thanks to you for keeping an eye on me, but you didn't have to, you know. His only response was to hug her tightly. Stupid, of course, if I care about you too much to let you continue living with only one eye, you need it more than I do. Naruto whispered in her ear, making her blush. She then proceeded to hug him and cry on his shirtless chest while murmuring thank you over and over again. So we're finally free, huh? Cobra asked, his snake coiled around his neck. Not at all. As long as that tower still exists, this will happen to more people besides us. His words were a bucket of cold water for everyone, but they didn't last long when Naruto leaped onto the mast with his hands outstretched. As the older brother, I won't allow it today. The Tower of Heaven will cease to exist forever. Song of the Moon and Stars of the Moon Dragon God, he chanted, then launched one of his most powerful DS attacks towards the Tower of Heaven. The speed of the attack was so great that the seas were divided as it advanced at the speed of light towards the hellish place, and when it reached it there was only a blinding light, and when everyone could see again from that place of hell not even the island remained because Naruto's attack had destroyed everything. Now yes, it's all over, he said before jumping back on deck. The next few minutes were nothing but silence until he looked around and saw each of the freed slaves crying and hugging each other for finally being freed. Hooray! Shouted one, soon followed by everyone. Naruto just smiled as he watched everyone, one of them start dancing, laughing, crying and cheering at finally being free. What now, Naruto-sama? A slave asked. Stop calling me Sama. Naruto's head grew unrealistically huge with a vein popping out on the right side of his forehead. After calming down, he took a few more deep breaths before looking at the 3 ships that were waiting for their next order. We're setting sail for Fairy Tail, Naruto shouted. Everyone screamed with happiness while in the back of the boat Rob just smiled and laughed a little. You've really grown up, Naruto. Evening. Naruto stayed up much later than everyone else because he watched the stars and because he was the one behind the wheel. As he watched everyone sleep, he couldn't help but smile knowing that everyone he loved was free once again. Beautiful night, isn't it, Naruto? Rob's voice rang through the night sky. Yes, it is. It's even more beautiful since we now know we're all free, Naruto said while giving Rob a quick smile. So Fairy Tail, huh? Rob asked as he leaned on the railing. Yes, I promised I'd join your old guild, didn't I? Yes, but what are you going to do with the others? Well, by the time we get to land I should have access to all my magical power, plus I've used the summons to call my older brother Silver the Silver Dragon. He'll bring me some money and new clothes from the Dragon King's island. I was planning to give you some so you can start over. Rob stared at him in surprise and then sighed before giving him a smile. You really are one of a kind, aren't you, Naruto? They both stayed silent for a while, enjoying the first night of freedom they'd had in a long time. Naruto Urza's gentle voice brought them out of their peaceful silence. I'll leave you two alone for now, Rob said as he headed downstairs to check on the little ones. So, Urza, how are you feeling? Naruto asked when he saw her standing next to him. Better now that I know I'm free. Look, Naruto, I'm sorry you had to give me your eye. Before he could continue, he felt a slight prick on his forehead. Stupid Urza, you have nothing to be sorry for. It's like I told you I'd do it all over again if it means saving you or someone I care about, Naruto told her with a smile on his face. So don't hide it. Let everyone see that new eye of yours and let them know what I would do for a friend of mine. Urza only touched her closed right eye before looking down at him and her closed right eye. It took a while, but she smiled at him and slowly opened her right eye, revealing her now sky blue right eye that looked so out of place next to her brown left eye. Look, you look even more beautiful now. Naruto laughed before seeing Urza hug him and cry into his chest. Thank you for being my friend, Naruto, Urza screamed into his chest. Naruto didn't say anything, but let her cry before watching her start to fall asleep. He saw another boy approaching him and told him to take over while he went to put Urza to sleep. As he walked toward the small hammock below, he couldn't stop himself from staring at Urza. She looked so cute sleeping in his arms, and he couldn't help but smile. Don't worry, Urza, no one will hurt you again as long as I'm around. Of course I'll help with that. Rob's voice nearly gave him a heart attack and made him drop Urza. Don't sneak up on people, man! Naruto almost yelled at him. Sorry, I just didn't want to ruin your little moment. Also, the lookouts say they already see land about 10 or 20 minutes away, and we also saw your brother, Rob said with a shudder. The 130-meter silver dragon was not something anyone expected to see. Yeah, but we've only been at sea for about 4 hours. Don't tell me we were so close to land and no one bothered to look for us. Naruto growled. Relax, kid. What's done is done for now. How about you put Urza to sleep and come wake her up when we all get to land, huh? Naruto nodded and headed to his small storage room, which he transformed into a room for them and the others. Naruto then left and headed straight to the summit. Once there, he saw that there was indeed land on the horizon with his older brother lying on his belly while waiting for the ship. Although with his enhanced eyesight Naruto saw that the sixth son of Encalagon had a furious look on his face, surely he noticed the lack of his right eye. After nearly 30 agonizing minutes, the ships hit the sand, and almost everyone jumped off the ships and onto the sand. The little ones started playing with him, and most jumped into the sea, enjoying the cool water that washed all the dirt off them. But before anyone could do anything else, a silver claw crushed Naruto, burying him up to his neck in the sand. Immediately after, the dragon let out a series of grunts. Yes, I could have called them, but I must remind you of Villa del Sol when those dark wizards tried to kidnap me. Wait, the Villa Sol incident was caused by you. A dragon's offspring is valuable and they protect it with teeth and nails, or in this case, claws and fangs, he said before leaving the arena. Come on, Silver and I, at least I'm in one piece, he said, making the dragon growl at him again. Yes, I know, I'm missing an eye, but weren't you the one who said that the life of a friend is worth more than all the gold and silver in the world? He commented, making the dragon growl again. Okay, as soon as I can, I'll go to Dragon King Island so that Altariane can heal my eye and give me some healing magic. By Encalagon, sometimes you're worse than Mom. With that, Silver took Naruto in her jaws and began to fly. She wouldn't allow her brother to be one-eyed. Naruto/brother/Naruto-sama. Don't worry, I'll be back in a few hours. Don't leave without me. After a few hours of Naruto leaving, he returned with Urza and the children, who had their eyes wide open seeing how he now had both of his eyes again, although there was a scar on the left one. When they asked him why, he only said, "The memory of what I would do for my family." And no one asked more? Urza tried to stop Miliana and Angel from jumping into the water with no luck. She even tried to stop Cobra, his snake, and Sho from throwing sand at each other. Naruto just laughed and watched Richard and Wally walk around, seeing them pick up seashells every now and then. Racer and Simon stayed by his side like they were his shadows. You guys know you can go and have fun, right? Naruto told them. But what if someone tries something with you, Naruto? We can't let that happen on our watch, Simon said, making Naruto sigh, knowing they weren't going anywhere anytime soon. Fine. Naruto sighed. Rob watched along with Naruto as the children played and the older men and women happily splashed water on each other. An hour later. After everyone got that out of their system, Naruto surrounded them and waited until everyone was calm enough to listen. Okay, listen everyone, I know you're enjoying your freedom, but now we need a plan of action on where to go next, so if you all have a place to return to, say now, and we'll give you enough money to get there. I personally want to thank Silver-sama for this. He facilitated the money we have right now, Rob said loudly. After about 10 minutes of murmurs, whispers, and people grouping together and talking about it, everyone looked at Rob and Naruto. We decided to go with you, Naruto-sama, the people said while smiling at him. Naruto just smiled and nodded as they watched him hold out his hands, and a second later a bag appeared out of nowhere. Well, actually, after a lot of screaming and scolding from 13 dragons in human form, Naruto took it from the island's vault, but they weren't supposed to know that. Okay, everyone line up and I'll give you enough jewelry to go buy clothes and food for the trip to Magnolia Town. Soon everyone was lined up, and Naruto was giving everyone enough to buy clothes and food. When everyone had their share of the money, Naruto told them to meet at the northern exit of the city. When everyone left, Naruto took Urza's hand and led her along with Miliana, Sho, Simon, Racer, Wally, Richard, Angel, Cobra and his snake to look around. While they were looking around, he bought Miliana a stuffed kitten with a cat-like hat. She also bought a yellow shirt with a cat paw print on it. He also bought a pair of dark green shorts. Angel bought a white and blue dress with angel wings on her shoulders, wrist, and around her new shoes. It also included a headpiece with a white flower. Racer bought a white t-shirt with black pants and black boots. Cobra wore a white t-shirt and light gray pants with a pair of gray boots and a white coat with brown fur. Wally and Richard wore casual clothes, while Simon wore only white pants with a black belt and a turban and a mask over his mouth. Sho got a busboy suit that he said looked great. Urza wore a long-sleeved white blouse and a knee-length navy blue skirt. She wore black pants underneath with brown boots and armor that made Naruto raise an eyebrow, but nothing more. Naruto also bought her a sword, telling her he would teach her how to use it later. Naruto himself donned black pants and decided to go shirtless while wearing a pair of sandals. Rob himself acted as if he always wanted nothing new, making them wonder why. Naruto and the others walked for another hour, buying food. Angel and Miliana only wanted chocolate and candy now that they were out. After getting everything they needed, they started heading to the meeting place and waited another 10 minutes. Once they saw people starting to arrive, Naruto stood up and smiled at everyone before starting to speak. Well, then we're off to Magnolia Town and our future to Fairy Tale. With that said, everyone started walking toward Magnolia, with Rob leading the way, since he knew its location and also had obtained a map. This was the beginning of their life of freedom, and what awaited them was the greatest adventure yet. Some time later on the road, Naruto and the rest of the freed slaves were walking along the path that would take them to Harjin Harbor according to Rob. "Hey, Grandpa, why are we headed to this Harjin port and not Magnolia?" Cobra asked. "Well, because Magnolia is too far to reach on foot, we'll take a train from Harjin to get to Magnolia," Rob said, continuing to look at the map. "Yes, I understand, but why don't we just take the long way around to Magnolia? I, for one, am in no rush to get there, so let's take our time, we'll get there eventually," Naruto said with a smile, making many people around him smile. Rob, hearing the meaning in his voice, sighed and looked at him with a grandfatherly smile. "Okay, Naruto, what's on your mind?" Rob asked as he put the map away for later. Well, how about we travel around and see what mischief we can get into? Wait, I remember one of my shrines was around a place called Mountain Village, so let's go there and see if I can't get something. After all, we used to visit them regularly and sometimes forgot things," Naruto said, making everyone nod. "Okay, then it's settled that we'll be heading to this mountain village," Rob said as he unfolded his map once more. 2 months later. Things got a lot more interesting as they got closer to Naruto's old home. Of course, they stopped in every town they saw and explored it first. They'd also lost a lot of friends, as most had fallen in love with a different town and decided to make their lives there. Naruto was happy that everyone was following their hearts, and not just him. Of course, he promised them that if they needed anything, they would find it in Fairy Tale whenever they needed it. Naruto and the others had felt a very emotional blow when Angel, or when she had revealed what her real name was, Sorano, had said that she would be traveling alone in search of her little sister, who had been separated from her when she was first heading to the Tower of Heaven. Flashback a month earlier. Naruto and what was left of his group traveled down a long dirt road without speaking as it was a very beautiful day. They all stared at the trees, the animals running by, the sound of the wind in their hair, and they loved it all. That was until they heard someone stop them, and they all turned to see who it was. Big Brother Naruto. Sorano started to get Naruto's attention. "Yeah, what's up, kiddo?" Naruto asked as he looked at her. "I think I'd love to leave the group," Sorano told them all, surprising them. Why, Sorano?" Cobra asked, even more surprised to see that he had fallen a little in love with the girl. "I have a sister somewhere. I was able to hide her when those evil men came for us, so I know it's a safe place. But I want to find her, and I want to be there for her. But I have to start looking for her first," Sorano told them while looking away. "It's okay, Sorano, but remember we're here for you so you don't have to do it alone," Naruto told her while smiling at her. "Well, if you're going, you can count on me," Cobra said surprisingly. "I don't want to leave you unprotected, big brother, but she needs me more than she needs you," Racer said as he walked toward her with Cobra. I wish to see his nightmare end and see his dream begin when he finds his little sister," so I will join them and learn how to end this endless nightmare," said Macbeth, surprising everyone since the boy never spoke to anyone except Naruto and Urza. "I owe Cobra a favor, so I'll help you reunite with your sister like I reunited with my brother," Richard said. "If my brother goes, then I will too. This should be a great ride," Wally said as he walked towards them. Everyone just watched the six of them gather around and smile at each other, making Sorano cry at the sight of them wanting to help her find her little sister. Naruto didn't say anything. All he did was smile and walk over to them before pulling out a bag and throwing it at Cobra, hitting him square in the head. "Buy warmer clothes when you get to a town, it's starting to get cold." Everyone just saw this. "Hey, are you really letting us go?" Cobra asked, completely forgetting about getting hit in the head just seconds ago. "The six of you have made a decision and therefore, I am not going to stop you from living your lives, so go ahead and show them what you six can do with your prayers." I like the sound of that oration cease, Naruto told them before ruffling Sorano's hair. "Just know that I will always be watching over you six, whether it's fairy tale or my grave." The six children nodded with tears in their eyes seeing their older brother caring for them so much. Flashback end. After parting ways with them and Urza giving each of them a crushing hug and lots of take cares from all the adults, and most importantly kisses from all her older sisters, the six of them parted ways with them. Naruto had also given each of them a book on how to use magic in case they wanted to learn. Of course, no one knew that Naruto had secretly implanted a dragon lacrima into the young Cobra to the children's constant whining and pleading. Naruto had been afraid of messing something up and having Urza's wrath filled with justice rain down on him. Therefore, he was extremely relieved when everything went well, but told her to keep it a secret for the time being. Of course, when he left, Naruto gave them everything he knew about that particular dragon slayer element. He had also granted them different types of magic. Sorano gave him 2 celestial keys, which he could purchase from a magic shop he found in the last city. Racer gave him 2 books, one on speed magic and the other on illusion magic. Richard, with earth magic and unknowingly a type of eye magic, gave his little brother a book on block magic, which made him overly happy for some reason. Midnight, gave him illusion magic and 2 others to help with his nightmarish little complexion. They each thanked him and promised that one day, if possible, they would join Fairy Tail to repay him for everything he'd done for them. And I have a pretty good idea how to do it. Naruto, after leaving them, returned to training and even began training Urza in the ways of the sword, as well as unlocking her magic along with Simon, Miliana, and Sho. He discovered that Simon could use both darkness magic and illusion magic, causing Naruto to complain about the number of people he had to teach illusion magic that he hated because it reminded him too much of certain techniques from his supposed family, whom to this day he still can't help but hate. Miliana had to find something to do with cats since she refused to learn anything else without cats. Therefore, Naruto was forced to look through her magic library in his requip space. Fortunately, he found one, which was nothing more than restriction magic that the user could bend to resemble anything. However, he also told her that he would be teaching her earth magic and crystal creation. When asked why, he responded by saying that restraint magic wasn't exactly good for offensive or defensive attacks. Furthermore, he bribed her by telling her that with maker magic she could make earth cats or crystal cats. When asked how she responded, she said that if she could imagine the cat, she could make them with both earth and crystal make magic. This quickly got her interested in learning it. Urza discovered that she could also use requip magic, which made her happy as she thought this would give her time alone with Naruto while they trained. Naruto also discovered that he could go beyond normal requip magic and use it not only to equip weapons but also clothing. Something he himself was still struggling with as he thought it would be much faster to use requip to change clothes. Sho, on the other hand, could use a bastardized version of both requip magic and card magic. This was essentially a way to store things in cards instead of a portal dimension like he could. Naruto also took the time to teach him one of his many killing arts. He taught the boy his infamous Lightning Devil Slayer arts. Sho had been thrilled to learn magic like his older brother, and knew that if he listened and worked hard, hopefully, he would one day become a fraction as powerful as his older brother. As Simon, Miliana, and Sho knew there was no one stronger than their older brother, which made Rob happy. Hell, Naruto had even gotten Rob to learn a new magic, which turned out to be both fire magic and wind magic. Rob had said that these two elements went very well together, as did Urza and Naruto. This, of course, caused both 8-year-olds to blush scarlet and start stuttering. Naruto, after Rob's little teasing, noticed that the only ones still with him were Simon, Sho, Miliana, Urza, and Rob. Of all the freed slaves, only 5 stayed with him. Of course he wasn't sad or anything since he knew that they were all making a new life for themselves, which made him happy. Plus it wasn't like he couldn't visit them, they had become family after all. And his mother drilled into his head a phrase that to this day became his motto. Family is not who you share blood with, but feelings, and if those feelings are strong, neither distance nor time matter, they will always be family. So, as they continued their journey to Naruto's old home, they began to hear rumors that a dark guild was attacking travelers for no reason. This news frightened both Miliana and Simon, but made both Urza and Simon tense and afraid of encountering them. Rob and Naruto were the only ones who remained calm without really fearing a dark wizard given his new level of power. They found the Dark Guild to be a strange guild, that was for sure, since they called themselves the Dark Unicorn. Naruto initially laughed at their appearance and their guild's name. The Dark Guild, who didn't like being laughed at, charged at them, and it was a completely one-sided and disappointing fight for Naruto. Flashback 2 weeks earlier. Naruto and his group were traveling through the mountain where Naruto's old home was located. Naruto told them that there was only a day or half a day of travel left considering their pace. "Well, boys, look what the cat brought in," said a gruff voice. "Cat where?" Of course, Miliana instantly got excited when she heard the word cat, making Naruto mentally slap himself, and from the expression he saw on Urza's face she had done so too. The men just looked at her strangely and were about to continue joking, but stopped when Naruto moved in front of her. "May I ask what brings you here, men?" Naruto asked. "No, brat, don't shut up and step aside. I wish to speak with that little redhead," the man said, but all he got was Naruto's glare. "I'm afraid I can't do that, so if you'd kindly step aside, we'd like to be on our way once more," Naruto said expertly, not letting any emotion enter his voice. "Kid, you don't know who you're messing with. We're mages from the Dark Unicorn Guild, so I'd be showing a little more respect if I were you," a woman said, thinking she scared him a little. However, she was very disappointed when, instead of fear, she saw Naruto start laughing for no reason. "Hey, what the hell are you laughing at, kid?" the man asked. Sorry, it's just that's the stupidest and funniest name I've ever heard for a guild, and look, old Rob is from Fairy Tail." Naruto continued laughing, causing Rob to push the children back. Of course, Sho and Miliana wanted to see their older brother kick some ass, so they peeked out from under their arms to watch. The dark mages, having had enough of him laughing at them, pounced on him while he was still laughing. 3 threw fireballs while the other 2 added wind, making the fire burn hotter. When they saw him hit the target, they laughed, thinking they'd been taught. "That'll teach kids like you not to mess with Dark Unicorn." The woman laughed before stopping when they heard a voice. "Man, those were the worst flames I've ever had. I guess Kaiser and I was right, and a dark mage's fire is as rotten as their soul." All the dark mage's jaws dropped, watching him devour the last of the flames. "What the hell are you?" the man never finished. They all witnessed Naruto moving at incredible speeds after crossing the distance between them in less than a second. "Don't insult when there are children around, you idiot," Naruto said, punching his stomach. The other mages snapped out of their shock and attacked him with everything they had. Naruto, having had enough, leaped back and squatted down with his arms hanging limply in front of him. "The shining dragon's radiance purifies everything, holy lightning," Naruto chanted, sending dozens of white beams of light at the dark mages that struck them all more than 5 times, instantly rendering them all unconscious. After he finished, he looked at everyone and smiled. "Well, let's go. We're almost at the top of your mountain and at one of my shrines." With that, everyone started heading toward the top of the mountain. Flashback end. Now Naruto's old home. Naruto and the other arrived at their house and were surprised by its size and elegance. Sho and Miliana instantly started running around trying to see everything. Simon and Rob walked calmly but still looked around. Urza stuck very close to Naruto, and neither seemed to mind the proximity. "Wow, is this what you really went through, big brother?" Miliana asked. "Not only did she come around a few times when Behemoth wanted me to practice my Earth King DS, I grew up on the Dragon King's island for most of my life," Naruto told them as he looked at the nest his mother had made in an improvised way on her first visit, a nest that ended up staying because it was special to Naruto, something that made him shed a solitary tear. "Maybe you saw them recently, but hey, in 74 years one can really become attached to people. I'm sure they're a truly formidable group." Rob tried to calm him down. Naruto smiled and continued his search, everyone wondering what he was looking for. It became obvious when he led them to a wall at the end of the cave, and they saw a giant magical seal on it. "Naruto, what is this?" Rob asked, amazed by the place. "This, Gramps, is the time warp room," Naruto told them as he used his pointer and middle finger to draw something in the air. Everyone watched him draw a pentagram in the air, which soon glowed yellow, and then before their very eyes, the giant seal also glowed yellow as if in response to what Naruto drew. "Naruto, what exactly is this time warp room?" Rob asked once more. "Well, as my mother explained to me in this room, a year out here is 12 in there, but our bodies age at the rate out here and not inside, so I was planning to use it to train and get in shape and then head towards Fairy Tail. What do you think?" To him. "How long do you want to stay there, Naruto?" Urza asked him. "Not much, about 6 years, or about 6 months, and like I said, we'll age exactly 6 months," Naruto told them as the seal opened to reveal an endless void of nothing but pure whiteness. As Naruto started walking, everyone else just stared at him until he stopped and looked back at them. "Well, are you coming or what?" No need to tell him twice. 6 years would be all it would take for them to become powers that everyone would fear, but some would still lack power. 6 months later. It had been a long time since they had done so from the outside world, and now, after 2 grueling years of training, they were finally ready to re-enter it. The seal glowed brightly before it began to open, where 6 figures could be seen standing waiting for the door to fully open. The first to emerge was none other than 6-year-old Miliana, wearing brown shorts and a small pink shirt with a paw print. She also had on a small white jacket and a rusty pink hat with a paw print on the front. The second was a 7-year-old Sho who was still wearing his busboy suit, only now without the vest, and his shirt was now unbuttoned with the first 3 buttons undone. Next up was 10-year-old Simon, who was now almost 5 feet 6 inches and had an incredible body. He now wore only his white pants and a sash that ran from his right shoulder to his left hip. He lost his mask, saying how he had outgrown it. After him was Urza Scarlet, sporting her armor-covered torso. She also wore a navy blue skirt that reached just above her knees. She also wore brown boots and black spandex pants underneath the skirt. She also had a sword on her left hip that looked to be around 5 feet long. She was also 5 feet 2 inches, a little on the short side, but that was to be expected of a 10-year-old. Rob came out next, and man, had he changed in those 6 years? He seemed to have worked hard to use his magic effectively again. He no longer appeared to be malnourished or sick. He now had the build of a swimmer, and seemed capable of fighting even in his advanced age. The last to leave was none other than Naruto Mikazuki, and he hadn't really changed at all except his appearance. He still had that untamed blonde hair and ocean blue eyes. His body was that of athleticism, lean and flexible to the point where he could bend and move his body like angels that could hurt anyone else. His power had grown once again and was now incredibly high and dense. He had to seal almost 3/4 of his power if he wanted to maintain control. However, the other thing was that Naruto had found another Lacrima dragon and implanted it with the help of Urza and Rob. Urza almost killed him when she told them, but calmed down when she said that a dragon Lacrima can't hurt a dragon slayer since they already had the dragon attribute within them, and he was already virtually more dragon than human due to dragonification, but he had trouble controlling himself in his dragon form. But they didn't need to know that, or they would possibly scold him for not flying them to Magnolia. He also told them that this would allow him to enter Dragon Force at will, making him a third-generation dragon slayer. Once they finished, they noticed how Naruto's power had increased once again, and this left them all surprised at the feeling of Naruto once again gaining more power. Naruto had also grown well, surprising everyone by matching Simon in height at 5 feet 6 inches, and of course his choice of clothing changed once again. Now deciding to completely change his clothes, gone were the kimonos and ostentatious armor, so now he had something different, because with some of the skin of the 5 dragons he hunted before the whole tower incident, he created a set of clothes. Now he wore black boots with metal buckles. He wore black pants held at his waist by 2 black belts with gold buckles. He wore a black shirt, on which he bore a plate of black dragon scales, held by 2 X-shaped straps over his shoulders, and over this he wore a high-collared red trench coat, which possessed a black shoulder pad made from the scales of a black dragon held by silver from his silver dragon DS. After Naruto left the TDR, the 5 looked at him and saw him seal the room while also doing something. "Naruto, what are you doing now?" Urza asked with her right hand on her waist. "Well, while we were training, I discovered that I can move the room to wherever I want by simply remaking the magic circle in the place I choose," Naruto told them before they saw the seal disappear from the wall and appear on a wooden board in his hands. Naruto, why did you put it on a wooden board?" Simon asked. "It was the only thing close to me. Now come on, the sooner we get to Fairy Tail, the sooner we can show the world what we can do." Naruto smiled, making Urza and Simon smile. Rob, Sho, and Miliana just smiled, and the 2 little ones ran off ahead of them, with Urza and Naruto running behind them to make sure nothing bad happened to them. Simon and Rob walked briskly behind them, not seeing the rush to catch up. It would be some time before they reached Fairy Tail, and in that time, they would meet a very interesting person to add to their group. 1 week later. It had been a week since they left the TDR, and now they were passing through a town that seemed to be under eternal rain. "Man, why is it raining so much here?" Simon asked no one in particular. "Man, it's not that bad. It brings back some pretty wonderful memories from when I was with the clan. Plus I like this," Naruto told them unknowingly, causing a little girl hiding behind a tree to stop crying and look out from behind the tree to see who said that. "How can you like this, Naruto, when you might catch a nasty cold?" Urza said, causing the girl to start crying once more. "Hey, don't be so mean, Urza. I mean, I was raised by dragons who are forces of nature, and that's why I love every aspect of it no matter what. Although the sun is beautiful, if the sun always shone everything would die. Rain and sun opposites, they are necessary for the life of the earth. Without rain everything would dry up, nothing would live. Besides, the sun always seems much more beautiful after it stops raining," Naruto said with so much passion that it made both Urza and the mysterious girl blush bright red. The mysterious girl turned around and slid down the tree with a huge blush on her face. "S likes my rain. Why is my heart beating so fast?" Sniffs. "No one has said that about my rain." The girl screamed with happiness at finally finding someone who loved her for who she was and didn't care about the sadness she unintentionally caused. However, as if in answer to her prayer, the rain stopped and the clouds began to part, giving way to a very warm and beautiful sunny day with the most beautiful blue sky the young woman had ever seen. "Look, I told you it's not like this. Is the most beautiful and bright sun you'll ever see in your life, the sun after the rain." Naruto's voice sounded through her small blonde ears, making her look up at the sky and smile. "Yes, it is." Both Urza and the girl responded at the same time. "Well, let's go because I want to get to Magnolia City soon," Naruto told them. This, of course, saddened the girl to hear that she was leaving so soon, but then she realized that she could follow them and join them. With that in mind, she ran to the orphanage where she lived and went straight to her room, ignoring the voices of the other children and staff members. She began packing her clothes and the little Tera Bozo dolls she had made. As she was leaving, a group of mean boys who always bullied her stopped her. "Hey, where do you think you're going, Juvia?" the older boy asked, while the other 2 stood to his right and left, laughing. "I am leaving this place and I'll never come back," little Juvia told them while holding one of her Tera Bozo dolls in front of her as a kind of protection. When the boys heard this, they instantly stepped aside and let her escape, but not before shouting after her. "Fine, and don't you dare come back, you hear it? All Juvia heard were the happy screams of everyone in her old orphanage. Juvia left with tears in her eyes as she finally realized that no one wanted her in this town, but she wiped her tears and knew that the blonde boy would surely accept with his reign and all. Naruto and group. Naruto and his group had just left the city and were heading to the next destination, which turned out to be none other than Magnolia City. Finally, man, I was starting to think we weren't going to make it to Magnolia City for another 3 years. Naruto laughed. The other just laughed because they knew everyone was taking their time getting to Magnolia. As they continued walking, Naruto stopped and looked up at the sky, causing everyone to look at him. It's strange. I smell rain, but I don't see a single rain cloud. They all wondered what he meant by that, only to stop when they heard running behind them. They turned around and saw a little blue-haired girl wearing a pink shirt and a little blue skirt with blue rain boots, and of course a Tera Boza doll strapped to her little pink backpack. They expected the girl to pass them and continue running, but that didn't happen. Instead, they saw her stop in front of them and look directly at Naruto. Hello, my name is Juvia Loxer and I would like to travel with you if that's okay with you. Juvia asked nervously. But Naruto saw what she was truly hiding in her eyes. She was like him in Konoha, something that made him frown, but he didn't show it. The others were going to say something until Naruto approached her directly, and began to smell her hair, and her face, making little Juvia blush at the closeness. You're a rain woman, aren't you? She nodded. So you were the one who made it rain in the city? Sweet, it would be nice to have someone like you in our group, so welcome Juvia. My name is Naruto and these are Urza, Simon, Sho, Miliana and the old man is Rob. Naruto introduced them. Everyone waved at her, causing Juvia to shyly nod and wave back with a blush on her face. Well, let's go, we're a week away from Magnolia and I, by a wish, got to get there and finally join Fairy Tail. Naruto told them while putting his arm around Juvia and making her blush when she noticed he wasn't there. He's wearing a shirt. Everyone began their journey to Magnolia once again with a smile as they saw that they had just made a new friend. 1 week later. The week had been a very long week for the group, because every time Naruto showed affection to Urza, even in the smallest way, Juvia would get extremely jealous, and it would start to rain. Naruto, of course, didn't care that the rain had told him that he actually fed on the rain itself, being a slayer of the sea and water, as he never mentioned himself as one of the 3 paths of the slayer. However, after 3 days, Naruto started bathing Urza and Juvia with the same attention to keep them happy and not have to fight each other again. Which was another thing, none of them thought that Juvia knew magic until her little fight with Urza, in which she showed amazing control over water, where she showed that she could also turn her body into water. Juvia surprised them by telling them that even she didn't know she could do that. Naruto took it upon himself to teach Juvia all the water spells he knew that weren't related to assassins. Juvia absorbed every spell Naruto thought of, and the other discovered that if it involved water, she could learn it immediately. Naruto also thought of how to control rain so she could use it at any time to drastically increase her attacks. The others were happy to finally arrive at Magnolia without any problems, but the moment they entered the city, they were amazed at the beauty of the place. Naruto and the other walked around and looked around. They couldn't believe how many people were around. Excuse me, kid, but I couldn't help but notice your magical signature was so large, and I was wondering if you were a wizard. They all heard a voice and turned around to see a short, old man. Maki, Rob said as he stood in front of them all. The old man stopped and looked at Rob before his eyes widened with tears in his eyes. Rob, are you your old friend? Maki asked. Yeah, he's old, Rob said before they hugged each other and started laughing hysterically at each other. Grandpa, who is this old man? Naruto asked Rob. Kids, this is my old friend Makarov Dryer from Fairy Tail, Rob told them, making them smile and bow their heads in respect. Actually, I'm now the 3rd teacher, Rob. Rob laughed at that. Well then, Master, can my children and I join Fairy Tail? Rob asked mockingly. As if you had to ask permission, come on, let's go to the guild and seal you all, Makarov told them as they headed in the direction they assumed the guild was located. As they walked, The children looked around to see all the sights, and Naruto saw how Miliana and Sho looked dazzled by all the happy faces and cute shops or candy stores they could see around Magnolia. Urza stuck to Naruto's right side while Juvia stuck to his left, both of them holding onto one of his arms and looking shy and vulnerable. Juvia was afraid that they might reject her because of her Rain Woman powers, while Urza was shy about meeting new people. When Makarov opened the guild doors, they were able to witness the massive guild fight that was happening there. Simon instantly got in front of Naruto and stood in front of him protectively while Sho and Miliana ran behind Rob, instantly scared, thinking something was up. "Hey, Grandpa, do you want me to stop this fight?" Naruto asked, placing his hand on Simon's shoulder and telling him to calm down. The girls stepped back and let Naruto handle this, wanting to see what he would do. "Go ahead, Naruto," Rob replied, watching him walk forward. "Don't worry, Maki Naruto is very powerful, so stay back and watch him go to work," Rob said to the old man, who only raised an eyebrow. "Yes, the older brother is the strongest one there is," Miliana told him cheerfully. Quild Hall. Naruto calmly walked to the center of the guild where he saw an orange-haired man punching everyone who came near him and sending them flying with a single punch. Naruto could feel the magical power coming off him, and could tell that this person was the strongest here after Master himself. However, he wasn't scared because he knew that if he entered his dragon force he could face him and win. He didn't want to even think about what he would do in his dragon form. Once in the center, Naruto sped up his attack and lunged at the man. The only thing anyone saw or heard was his attack name, and the moment he made contact. Night Dragon Shadow Fist. Everyone watched as the attack hit the orange-haired man in the center of his chest and sent him flying into the wall. When he turned around, he saw everyone with their jaws on the floor and their eyes wide open staring at him. "Now then, if everyone is done with this fight, I think Master will talk to you," Naruto said. However, Makarov was also in the same boat as the others, as he was surprised at how these children who looked to be about 10 years old were able to defeat Fairy Tail's own Guildarts Clive, their ace. "Maki, what's wrong?" Rob asked, looking at the unconscious man pinned to the wall. "That kid just took out Fairy Tail's ace in one hit," Makarov said, making Rob nod. "I see. Well, that's to be expected considering that Naruto's power level should be even higher than God Serena's. Not for nothing was he raised by 13 dragons," said Rob, making Makarov open his eyes. After getting over his shock, Makarov moved to stand in front of the guild bar and coughed into his hand to get everyone's attention. "Well, brats, as you just saw this kid here along with 5 others, you will be joining Fairy Tail starting today, so treat them all as you would those in this guild now, understood?" Makarov shouted to the entire guild. "Here." Soon the whole guild started to cheer for having someone stronger than Guildarts in their guild, and the person was a boy no older than 10 years old. After that speech, Makarov called the children and told them to wait while he took the seal. "Now, where would you like your stamp?" Makarov asked. Urza put hers on her left shoulder in blue, while Naruto put it over his heart in scarlet red with a blue outline. When asked why, he simply said that they were his 2 favorite colors, causing both Urza and Juvia to blush knowing he was talking about his hair color. Juvia put hers on her left thigh in sun-kissed yellow, causing Naruto to nervously laugh at that. Sho put his on the back of his right hand in forest green, while Miliana put hers in black to the right of her navel. Simon, on the other hand, wore his own on his forehead in silver gray with a black outline. After being stamped into the guild, they blended in with the rest of the guild. Naruto was instantly bombarded with questions about how he became so powerful. All he responded with was a smile, and putting his arms around Urza and Juvia as he said that his loved ones gave him strength. Naruto then met up with the younger generation and saw a boy who had unconsciously stripped naked and a brunette wearing a pretty orange dress. "Hi, name's Gray and this girl is Kana, nice to meet you," Gray said as he extended his right hand in just his boxers. "Sorry kid, I don't shake hands with strippers or perverts," Naruto laughed. Gray looked at him strangely, and then looked down only to finally realize that he had stripped naked once again. "Oh shit, not again!" Gray shouted as he went to find his missing clothes. "Please forgive the stripper, he means well," Kana said with a small smile. Don't worry, I was just messing around with him a little, so Kana? You wouldn't know a place to stay, would you? Naruto asked her. Well, all the fairy tale girls stay in the Fairy Hills dorms, but for the boy, we had a dorm, but it got a bit destroyed when the boys got into a fight. Well, at least Miliana, Juvia, and Urza will sleep well tonight. Naruto smiled. No way, Naruto, if you guys can't find a place to stay, we'll stay with you, Urza said firmly. My love rival is right, my love, it wouldn't be right for us to sleep comfortably while you don't, so, if you want, I'd gladly let you stay with me, Juvia said shyly as she gave him the puppy dog eyes. It'll be fine, we'll find a place to spend the night, but you three will sleep in the dorms. Okay, now go, I'm sure Kana wouldn't mind showing you the right way, Naruto told them. Right, no, of course not, so please, let me show you the way. Fairy Hills is a wonderful place that you three will love, I swear, Kana told them as she guided them. Okay, come on, show Simon, we'd better start looking, Naruto told them. See you, Grandpa Master. We're going to try to find a place to sleep, Naruto shouted to the two veterans who were catching up. Naruto also saw the man he knocked out sitting at the bar with a storm cloud over his head. The city of Magnolia. Naruto and the two boys walked calmly down the street with Naruto holding a paper. Well, according to this, there are exactly 10 houses and 5 apartments for rent right now, Naruto told them as he looked at the list and tried to memorize the addresses. So which one shall we check first, big brother? Sho asked. Well, I was actually thinking that everyone should have their own place so they don't have any problems in the future, Naruto told them. Naruto, are you sure? Simon asked. Of course, you two are becoming fine young men and you two will need your own space, so why not start now, huh? Oh, okay, then if you think it's a good idea, then I'll do it, big brother, Sho said as he took a piece of paper from Naruto. All right, here's a house for each of you to check out, and if they ask for payment up front, tell them you'll come back with the money and tell them to come get me, Naruto told them with a smile. With that, each went their separate ways to start their own lives, but still staying in touch with each other. 2 years later. It had been an incredible 2 years for Naruto and his friends. First, Naruto rose through the ranks, becoming an S-class mage at age 11. Second, he officially started dating Juvia and Urza after his teacher told him that polygamy wasn't illegal here in Fiori. The third faced Gildarts in a one-on-one fight on the S-class trails, giving everyone an incredible display of power. He still remembered that day like it was yesterday. Flashback a year ago. Naruto ran through the forests on Fairy Tail's sacred ground of Tenru Island looking for his opponent to claim the S-class title. Dodge, her instincts screamed at her. So, as he flew to the right, he could see the invisible wave fly past him and hit a rock. He saw it disintegrate before his very eyes and knew who his opponent was. Well done, boy, well done indeed. Gildart's voice came from behind him. Gildarts, it's been a while, hasn't it, old man? Naruto joked since he knew Gildarts didn't like being called old. Hey, I'm still pretty young, Gildarts protested. Okay, well, how about we put this game on the road? Since I have a date with a feisty rain woman at 7, Naruto said, waving his fist in front of his eyes. Whatever you say, kid, it's your funeral. Gildarts smiled. Neither of them moved for a few minutes just staring at each other, but unbeknownst to them, the entire guild was watching this epic fight to come through Lacrima's vision. Soon, Naruto made the first move by jumping back and raising his head back. Storm Dragon Roar! Naruto shouted as he sent a massive tornado of lightning bolts at Gildarts. Gildarts simply raised his arm and dismounted the attack, unaware that this was Naruto's plan. Just as he was about to mock him, he saw Naruto fly out of the aftermath and aimed an ice-covered fist at his head. Gildarts grabbed it, but regretted it afterwards as Naruto used another attack right after. Solar Dragon Wings. Gildarts was sent flying with minor burns on his right side, but Naruto didn't stop his attack as he ran toward the disoriented man. However, he was hit with a powerful kick to the sides, sending him rolling to the right. He was able to flip over and land on his feet before deciding to stop relying on Dragon Slayer magic alone. Now that the warm-ups are over, It's time for me to get serious, Gildarts. Naruto told her as he disappeared from her sight. Then he heard Naruto's voice barely a whisper behind him, and knew he didn't have time to dodge. Roar of the God of Shadows. All he saw was a streak of shadows enveloping him before he felt himself flying and crashing into dozens of trees along the way. When he got up, he saw that Naruto had wiped out almost all of the surrounding forest with that one attack. Bright judgment of the God of Light. Naruto wasted no time sending out his next attack, and boy was it a big one considering it was coming from the sky, causing Gildarts to dodge as best he could. When Gildarts saw it was 1.5 inches away from his own, he used his shock magic to destroy it, and wasted little time running at Naruto. Naruto saw that Gildarts had lost his signature cloak while fighting him, which meant he was done playing around. What happened next no one could quite describe, as they both started trading blow for blow. Gildarts and Naruto were grinning the whole time they fought, and neither of them lost any ground. If Naruto were to knee him in the stomach, Gildarts would throw him a good 500 feet away. If Gildarts were to thunderclap him, Naruto's magic would hit him straight in the face with an elemental killer attack. After almost half a day of fighting like this, they both stood in front of each other with giant smiles on their faces. Whatever happens here today doesn't matter, kid. Whether you become S-class or not, I'll always consider you my best friend and rival. Gildarts shouted from nearly 200 feet away. The same goes for Gildarts. You're the only one who's ever pushed me to my limits, and beyond it would be an honor to call you my brother. Naruto shouted as he got into position. After this attack, we'll finally see who is the strongest of Fairy Tail. They both shouted at the same time. Then, like a bomb exploding, they both launched themselves at each other with their final attack in hand. Gildarts! Naruto! Everyone in Fairy Tail saw the huge explosion that happened after that, as it interrupted their vision of Lacrima. However, after 10 minutes, their vision returned and everyone witnessed Gildarts Clive the Ace of Fairy Tail and Naruto Mikazuki the Dragon Prince, both on the ground with the biggest smiles on their faces. Everyone in Fairy Tail cheered their hearts out at the explosive fight between the undoubtedly strongest people in Fairy Tail. Juvia and Urza were screaming way louder than anyone else, watching their boyfriend of 2 weeks. Simon himself couldn't contain his laughter and cheer for the person he considered a brother. Sho and Miliana were dancing with Gray and Levi, and surprisingly, the newbie was a pink-haired boy named Natsu Drangneel. Makarov was toasting with Rob, as they were very proud of both of them, and their great display of skills and power. After the exams, Naruto became an S-class mage on par with Gildarts, meaning Fairy Tail now had 2 aces, something unheard of in any guild. However, Naruto never stopped growing since he started taking the toughest and highest paying jobs around, earning a very fearsome reputation as the most powerful mage in all of Fiori and the one who will most likely succeed Makarov in a few years. Flashback end. Currently. Now though we find Naruto heading down a road with Urza and a group of 3 who all appeared to have white hair. You know, we've been traveling for almost 2 days and none of you have told us your names, Urza said with a hint of irritation in her voice. It's not our place to make demands on Urza, so just leave them alone. They'll tell us when they're more comfortable. Strauss said the hooded man. Excuse me? Naruto asked as he stopped in the middle of the road. Mary Jane Strauss, that's my name, Mary Jane said, looking away. Well, Mira, is it okay to call you that? At her nod, he continued. I'd be very happy if you'd let me look at that arm you've been trying to hide for the past 2 days. I mean, if it's hurt, maybe I can heal it, Naruto told her, making her shudder. And no, you can't think of me as a monster, Mira said as she walked away from him. Please, I was raised by 13 dragons, so I think I've seen and learned enough not to judge one by their appearance, Naruto told him. Besides, the definition of monster is relative. I say, old Gildarts and I can level entire cities in one fell swoop, and we're seen as heroes in most of Fiori. I comment this last bit remembering the only one after his mother and brothers that he could call a true rival. You promise not to run away from us, sir? The little boy asked with the cutest pair of eyes I'd ever seen. Of course not, Lysana and Elfman. I promise, and I always keep my promise. Naruto smiled as he ruffled her hair. Although he was still hesitant when he saw his little sister looking at him with the same eyes, he slowly began to pull out his right arm. He expected gasps or screams of horror, but what he got wasn't what he expected. "Sweetheart, you're such an amazing takeover mage. I've tried doing that, but so far I can only see my face." With that, Naruto transformed his face into that of a gecko. This made Lee-sana, Urza, Elfman, and even Mira laugh a little before Naruto returned to normal. "So, what seems to be the problem anyway?" Naruto asked. "I can't get rid of this arm. Everyone thinks I'm a monster or possessed by a demon," Mira said, tears welling up in her eyes. Naruto walked forward and placed his right hand over hers, and soon a white magic circle appeared, and soon, in the eyes of Mira and her brother, the demonic arm disappeared. All you needed to do was stop the flow of magic to that arm and it would be gone, see? Naruto smiled. He soon found himself approached by a crying Mira and her brother hugging him while chanting, "Thank you," repeatedly. "Come on, the sooner we get to Fairy Tail, the sooner you can look up books on your magic and be able to control it over time. Hell, I'll even help you if you want." Mira blushed and smiled at him before hugging him once more. "I would love it if you promise me that you will never leave me alone," Mira said while smiling happily to finally be able to show her hand again and not scare anyone. "Sure, consider it done." With that, they once again set off for Magnolia, which was 3 days away. Urza was happy to see the family smiling and happy once again, but she would have a talk with Mira Jane when they returned to Fairy Tail. She knew Juvia would be so jealous knowing there might soon be another girl joining them. Fairy Tail has gained new members and a new ace, all within the span of 2 years. What will the next few years be like for them? Will they be happy or sad? Chapter 3. 1000-Year Mission and Reunion with Ko. Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail was enjoying another day of fairy tale wellness, with practically everyone fighting, drinking, and dancing. At the bar, there was an old man in a ridiculous outfit and another old man with no shirt on, but wearing black pants and boots. To their left was a pink-haired woman with a small smile who occasionally took small sips of her drink. To her right was a man with orange hair and a faint beard who laughed loudly as he drank, but mostly spilled most of his drink. Everyone was having fun with the guild children who were in the corner playing or practicing their magic. That was until they all heard the church bells ringing and cannons exploding in the distance. The moment those two things happened, everyone stopped what they were doing. "Do you hear that?" Natsu asked to no one in particular. All he got were wide smiles. "Naruto has returned," the guild shouted. East Magnolia Woods. Naruto walked with an expressionless look on his face, while both Urza and Mira Jane clung to his arms and glared at each other with death glares. Elfman and Lee-sana watched his misfortune with humor, and Elfman didn't know what to think at the moment. "Leave it white," Urza shot him. "Make me tomato," Mira Jane hissed back. "Ladies, can't we all just be friends?" Naruto asked wearily for the 1000th time. Before either of them could respond, they heard bells and cannons being fired in the distance, and the Strauss brothers jumped at the sound of the cannons. "What was that?" Mira Jane asked, still a little scared by the cannon fire. "That's how all of Magnolia knows Naruto has returned," Urza said as she looked at Naruto. "I couldn't make them just bells like Gildarts," Naruto muttered as he continued walking. The Strauss brothers simply followed behind them in case it wasn't what they said it was. 30 minutes later. Half an hour later, the five arrived at the village, and Mira Jane along with her brother and sister were surprised to see a large crowd at the entrance of the village. "Naruto-sama!" They heard people shouting his name from somewhere in the crowd. Naruto continued walking while smiling and waving at random people as he passed by. Mira Jane and her brother were a little nervous at the amount of eyes on them. Urza, seeing this, was only irritating and decided to tease her a little before feeling a hand on her shoulder and seeing Naruto shake his head. Urza, getting the message to a certain extent, knew that Mira Jane might be a little nervous considering everywhere she went people thought of her as a monster because of her demonic hand. So Urza placed her right hand on Mira Jane's shoulder while giving her a smile, to which Mira Jane returned, if only briefly. They continued walking until they saw it, Fairy Tail, sitting on the edge of the city overlooking the ocean behind it. The closer they got, the more nervous Mary-Jane, her brother, and her sister became. Finally, after what seemed like hours, they reached the guild doors, and Naruto stopped and placed his hands on them. They looked back at him, before opening them, smiling and saying, "Welcome to Fairy Tail," Naruto shouted as he opened the doors. The moment it fully opened, Mary-Jane was amazed to see all the members inside shouting and yelling. She saw cups flying around, she saw men and women smiling and laughing as others began to dance. However, most of all, she saw the love and bond everyone had, everyone acting as if a long-lost member of their family had finally returned from the dead. She watched everyone approach Naruto, pat him on the back, shake his hand, and hug him. She happily smiled gently at how everyone loved him, and how much they all enjoyed his company. "Naruto, my boy." Everyone stopped when they heard that voice. From the crowd came a short old man with a taller veteran on his left, and a pink-haired woman on his right. "Oh master, how are you?" she asked Naruto as she walked towards him. "Well, my boy, very well. So, how was your search?" he asked the teacher. "That was great, master. You can put another perfect job on my record," Naruto joked. When everyone heard that, the entire guild roared with excitement as the music began to play out of nowhere. "I think I'm going to like it here," Mary-Jane said as she watched everyone having fun. Urza smiled and accompanied her to inspect the guild members to have fun with Naruto's achievements. "This is nothing compared to what they usually do," Urza told him. Both girls looked at each other and laughed while Naruto watched them having fun from the second floor with Gildarts and Laxus. "TCH, they should learn to be more professional," Laxus said with a twitching eyebrow. "Where's the fun in that?" Naruto said without looking at him. "This is Fairy Tail after all, we know how to have fun over the smallest things." Naruto laughed with Gildarts joining in. Laxus just snorted and walked away with his hands in his pockets as he put on his headphones and blasted his music on a special lacrima that had just come out. Ground floor. Back at the bar, the teacher watched Laxus leave with an angry expression and paused, wondering what to do with his grandson. Before he could think about it further, he saw Urza walking toward him with 3 other people. "Master Makarov, I'd like to introduce you to the Strauss siblings. Mary-Jane Strauss, Elfman Strauss, and Lysana Strauss wish to join our guild." Urza introduced them, causing Makarov to look at them and smile. "I'm sure Miss Yuki will prepare everything," Makarov said, taking a sip of his drink. "Things are only going to get more interesting from here on out," Makarov thought with a big smile and a blush from his alcoholic drink. 2 years later. Time really flies when you spend it with the people you love, huh? Those were the thought of none other than the 14-year-old Naruto Mikitsuki. In the past 2 years, he'd changed from his previous height, standing at an impressive 5 feet 10 inches. Now, though he'd slicked his hair back like Gildarts and started wearing a cape like him, only his was pitch black with white shoulder pads and lining. Underneath the cape, he still wore his outfit from when he'd first joined the guild, but he'd evidently been forced to alter it to accommodate his new size. He was much more muscular than before, with rippling abs and large biceps for his age. His magic had only grown larger and much denser than before, while he was also learning more types of magic, some of which had been lost, ancient magic, and forbidden magic. He had become known not only in Fiori but also in the neighboring countries. He had asked him to join the Wizard Saint, something he accepted only to regret soon after when he discovered it was more of a political position than anything else. The good side confirmed what Rob had said and what Naruto always said about being raised by 13 dragons, because in his fight to join he was brave or idiot enough, depending on who you asked, to fight against God Serena of the 8 dragons. Surprise for everyone, Naruto decided not to play with him since he was a fake dragon, and entering his dragon force he swept the floor with the first Wizard Saint as if it were a game, showing his 13 DS affinities in the process. Thus his nickname changed from Naruto the Dragon Prince to Naruto the Dragon King. And along with that, a Guy/Kakashi rivalry with the eccentric wizard. He was also offered a position on the Magic Council, something he instantly rejected. They tricked him into being a holy magician, but not into being part of the council when they asked him, because he only said that he hated bureaucracy thanks to a certain part of his past that was none of his business. Back in Fairy Tail, Despite all his fights, Naruto began defeating guildarts practically every time, much to the guild's surprise. Furthermore, his relationship with his girls deepened when Mary Jane joined, making him the envy of the men. His job score, if anyone looked, would see that there were literally 1,000 completed jobs and 0 failed ones. Makarov bragged about him at every guild master meeting to anyone who would listen. With him in the guild, they were getting more jobs and many more members. However, at this moment we found him walking towards the guild as the master himself had called him in guildarts, so he had gone to look for him before heading to see what the old man wanted. "Hey, do you know why the old man wanted to see the 2 aces?" Naruto asked. "No, I haven't been to the guild in 2 days since I just got back from work, so I decided to sleep in," Guildarts said, yawning. "You too, a man. Being an ace sucks big time since I never have enough time to spend with my girls, and when I do I have to cut it short because a new job pops up." Naruto grumbled, but didn't push him away since he knew what it meant to be an ace. "Sucks to be you, man. That's why I only go crazy with girls outside of the guild and only when I'm at my job, since that means once I'm done I can book it before the girl wants a commitment." Guildarts joked, making Naruto laugh. After that, they sat in a comfortable silence as they both enjoyed the peace and quiet of the morning. Another thing he loved about his life so far was that he had 3 of the most beautiful girls in the guild as girlfriends. He loved each of them equally, always showing them the same affection and nothing less. At first, the girls didn't know how to feel about it, but over time, they started to get along. If Mira, Urza, and Juvia fighting all the time meant getting along, then yes, they got along. As they continued walking, they saw the guild hall in the distance, and walked a little faster to see what the old man wanted this time. Guild room teacher's office. Naruto and Guildarts made it upstairs without a problem, as everyone was still sleeping or working at the moment. When they reached Master's office, they knocked on the door but got no answer. After 3 knocks and no response, they entered and found the Master asleep at his desk, making him sigh. Naruto walked over and nudged him awake, and when the Master started to stir, he stood back up with Guildarts. "Master, what's wrong?" Naruto asked, causing the old man to blink before remembering something. "Ah, yes, sorry to have to wake you, boy, but I have a very special job for you, Naruto," the Master said, pouring himself some water he had on hand. "Are you sure what it is?" Naruto asked as he looked at it. "I want you to do this job for me," Makarov said, tossing him a rolled-up flyer. Naruto opened it with Guildarts looking over his shoulder, and what they both saw surprised them. "What?" they both shouted at the same time. "Master, this is a 1,000-year mission!" Naruto shouted as Guildarts fainted. "Yes, he's my boy, and I have absolute confidence that you'll complete him," Makarov said with a grandfatherly smile that made him stop. "When are you leaving, Master?" Naruto asked him. "Immediately, Naruto," Makarov told him. "Can I leave tomorrow, Master? I want to say goodbye to everyone today," Naruto asked. The Master thought about it again and again after searching. There was nothing wrong with nodding closer, and he smiled at her again. "Very well, but remember that you're still too young to be a father, okay?" Makarov joked, making Naruto blush. He might be over 100 years old mentally thanks to his training on the Dragon King's island, but his body was something else. We haven't done anything like that, you dirty old man," Naruto yelled, making Makarov laugh. "Well, you'd better go if you want to say goodbye to everyone," Makarov laughed. "Fine," Naruto snorted as he left. Ground floor. On the floor, we found the entire younger generation of the guild hanging out together, either eating or playing board games. "Hey Mira, where's big brother Naruto?" Lisana asked as she looked at her with a blue kitten in her arms. "Hell, I know, I went to his apartment this morning and he wasn't home," Mira said, eating a sandwich. "Well, I was with the teacher this morning, Mira." Naruto's voice sounded, making her look up to see him coming down the stairs. "Naruto, how are you?" Mira asked meekly. No matter how strong she became, whenever she was around Naruto, she would turn back on that scared little girl she once knew. She would act meek, shy, and stumble over her own words. Naruto simply made her feel so happy and safe at the same time. She had never felt that way before, and for some reason, she loved this feeling. No one dared say anything to her about it for fear of his wrath. "So, Naruto, are we still ready for our date tomorrow?" Mira asked excitedly before seeing his face turn sad. "Do you have another job?" he said more than he asked. "Yes, and not just any job, but a 1,000-year quest." He said. They were all frozen in shock. A 1,000-year search. Urza managed to get out. "Yeah, so I was thinking we should have a meeting and hang out before I leave tomorrow," he said, causing everyone to nod, still a little surprised that he'd taken the job. "See you at my house at noon, okay?" Naruto told them before leaving them. As he left the guild hall, his 3 girls stopped him. "Naruto, wait!" He stopped, turned around and saw that it was Urza calling him. "Yeah, what happened, I couldn't finish because the 3 of them hugged him. "Please take care, okay? We don't know what we'd do without you," Mira said as they hugged him tighter. "I promise on my life to return to you 3 alive and well," he said, hugging them back and kissing them on the forehead. "Come on, let's go home and get ready for this farewell party." With that, the 4 of them left and headed back to their shared apartment building. Urza was the one who didn't live in the building and had decided to stay in Fairy Hills and help Yukino the best she could. Juvia had lived there for about 2 weeks before moving out since she didn't like being so far away from him. Mira shared an entire floor with her siblings, with Naruto and Juvia's apartment right above them. However, Urza stayed in her apartment most of the time. Naruto's house. After about 2 hours of getting everything ready, people started coming and hanging out as they approached Naruto and wished him the best of luck on this new quest. "I still can't believe you're going on a 1,000-year quest," Simon's voice said as he approached him and extended his hand. "Yeah, I can't believe it either," Naruto replied with a smile and took her hand in his own. After that, he spent the rest of the night cuddling the little ones like Miliana, Sho, Lee-sana, and even if he didn't allow it, Natsu and Gray. "Thank you all for coming and believing in me, and I promise I'll come back with Fairy Tail's first 1,000-year mission completed," Naruto exclaimed, holding his drink in the air to cheer her on. Everyone cheered, and after that, everyone started going wild once again, dancing and chatting. It wasn't until almost midnight that the party ended. The next morning, all of Fairy Tail and most of the people of Magnolia were at the main entrance of the city to say goodbye to Naruto. Urza, Mira, Juvia and surprisingly Kana were at the front hugging Naruto for the last time and kissing him on the lips or in Kana's turn on the cheek. "Well, you'll be out, Master, so please take care of yourself. I don't want to find out again that you left because you weren't careful," Naruto said as he extended his hand. "Don't worry, my son, he'll be fine." Makarov brushed his concern aside with a smile. With that, Naruto picked up his bag and threw it over his shoulder, smiling at everyone one last time before turning and walking away. As he left, he raised his right hand in the legendary Fairy Tail farewell symbol. All the later members of Fairy Tail along with some people from Magnolia copied him. "Goodbye, big brother, take care!" Those were the cries of Lee-sana and Miliana. With all that love and support, there was no way he could fail at this job. Everyone believed in him so much. He would come back stronger and better than ever and show the world that Fairy Tail was the best guild to join. However, suddenly, words echoed in his mind, echoing in his mother's voice. "The first confrontation is approaching." With those words, he could only nod. Years later, Urza and Natsu had just returned from Iare and the guild members discussed the Magic Council's reasons for acting this way, coming to the conclusion that it was just a warning. "Wait a minute, what happened with the battle between Natsu and Urza?" a man from the guild asked once they finished their previous conversation. "Oh, that's right, I almost forgot." Natsu stopped running and headed to where Urza was sitting at one of the guild tables next to the Rain Woman, both of them having a cup of tea. "Urza, we continued where we left off." "No, I'm very tired," she replied without looking back, placing her cup on a small saucer. She was now wearing Hearth Cross armor and a blue skirt. "Here I go." Natsu ignored Urza's decline and ran towards her with his fist on fire, making Juvia move out of the way, knowing that her red-haired sister would end this quickly. "There are no rough seas, Urza-san," Juvia whispered. Oh my! The redhead rose from her seat and landed a hard right hook on the dragon slayer's stomach, causing him to fall defeated to the ground. Okay, shall we begin? It's over! Happy shouted, announcing the end of the fight. Elfman, Gray, and Lucy watched in amusement as their friend was defeated by the strongest woman in the guild. Natsu, that was pathetic, Gray said, laughing. Urza is definitely very strong. Elfman couldn't hold back his laughter either. From the bar, the master and Mary Jane also saw the fight. Suddenly the church bells and cannons began to fire, causing Lucy to get a little scared. However, four magicians smiled. He's back, the master said, causing everyone in the guild to smile. Well, almost everyone. Who's back? Lucy asked, confused. Oh, the oldest brother of the guild. Hey Natsu, if he somehow found out what you did in Harjin, I can have your bed. Happy asked, causing Natsu to pale. I'm a dead man, he's going to kill me. A scared pink-haired man shouted, then tried to run and hide, forgetting who he was talking about. Calm down, Flames. The guild is an hour away. You have time to think of a way to escape so he doesn't kill you, Gray said, holding a book titled Excuses to Avoid the Wrath of That Man for Stripping Me and Stealing Clothes. It's official. I don't understand anything, Lucy moaned. Meanwhile, an hour's drive from Magnolia. We can see 4 figures walking, 3 of them relatively short, and the other one quite a bit taller. So when will we start training older brother Naruto? Asked a boy about 12 or 13 years old with blonde hair, dressed in gray pants, black boots, a white short-sleeved shirt, and an open blue vest, carrying on his shoulders a small red furred cat with a pink underside like its paws and the tip of its tail. It has large black eyes, large pointy ears, and 2 horrible locks of hair sticking out on its face corresponding to its cheekbones. He wears a blue vest with 3 dark buttons, unbuttoned and sleeveless. For the 100th time, Sting, as soon as we get to the guild. Now stop asking that, or I'll shave Lecter and put the hairs in your sleeping bag, commented Naruto, who was now much taller than 5 years ago, measuring 6 feet 3 inches. His hair had also changed, being that now it is considerably longer, reaching the middle of his back, still held by a ponytail near his nape. The 2 bangs that frame his face still remained. His outfit was another thing that had changed since he ran out of dragon skin to continue adapting his red trench coat. Now he wore black pants and combat boots with metal tips. He wore 2 large skirts of what appeared to be black scales on the sides of his legs and a 3rd shorter one on his back. His chest was now covered by a breastplate of black scales with the shoulder pads sticking out about 10 centimeters. He wears 2 wristbands that cover his entire forearm with a peak gray coming out of the elbow, and his hands are covered by black gloves with silver knuckles courtesy of his silver dragon DS. The moon on his forehead still lingered, as did his fawn marks. Sting-san, maybe Naruto-sama is right. He has asked that more than 100 times this morning alone, commented a girl that Naruto discovered was the sister of his old friend Sorano, who, when she found out, was really excited and worried at the same time. After all her fake Dark Guild oration, Cease had joined the Balam Alliance to inform her older brother of the movements of Grimoire Heart and Tartaros, something that pissed Naruto off when he found out, because 6 of his little brothers were risking their lives with 2 of the strongest Dark Guilds of all. Yukino is right, it took us 3 years to find it, and if you overwhelm him too much you could make him angry and bury us both in the ground again, commented a boy who for some reason reminded Naruto of the typical emo Uchiha, only without the magic eyes of destiny, the superiority complex, and the attitude of I will get revenge on everyone because I am an Uchiha, or they should thank me for anything I do. And this boy, like Sting, carries a cat on one of his shoulders. He is small, with a long tail, with green fur, and anthropomorphic. He has large, round eyes, each proposed with prominent eyelashes and rosy cheeks. The vast majority of his body, except his face, is covered in a suit reminiscent of a frog, with black spots. The ends of the hands are covered by mittens, and finally there is a hood in the shape of a frog's head, with 2 huge black eyes. However, before Sting could reply, the 3 children heard the church bells ring and the cannons were fired, causing the 3 children and the 2 cats to hide behind Naruto's coattails, who only sighed. He had forgotten about the bells and the cannons again. Well, it had been 5 years since he set foot in Magnolia. I forgot the bells and the cannons. Well, goodbye, surprise arrival, walk, it's just the way the people of Magnolia find out I'm back home. Back to fairy tale. Everyone except Natsu and Gray, who were writing their wills, and Lucy, who was still lost, were preparing to welcome their older brother, with Juvia and Miliana evidently being the most excited for the return of their boyfriend/older brother. However, out of nowhere the teacher felt that there could have been trouble when he felt some magic. Something's wrong, master? Mira asked. No, nothing, it's him, said the master, who looked sleepy. Mira fell asleep behind the counter, and was soon followed by the others who were in the guild. This is Gray managed to say before falling asleep. Urza was barely able to stay conscious as a person walked past her. Mistigan, said the master as the hooded man walked past her to the order board, one taken, and returned with him. Take this one, he said, showing the order to the teacher. Wait, he's back too. You should leave quickly. If he smells you, there'll be a lot of trouble. I haven't told him about you yet, the master said, making Mistigan nod. Well, I'm leaving. Mistigan turned and started walking toward the door. Hey, aren't you going to undo the sleep magic? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I started a countdown as I left the place. When the sleep magic ended, it disappeared and everyone woke up again. It feels like Mistigan was here? Jet asked, still a bit confused. That bastard, Droy said, a little annoyed. He always uses powerful magic. Levy rubbed her eyes. Mistigan? Lucy was still half asleep. One of the strongest men in fairy tale, Elfman said. He does it because he doesn't like being seen. Every time he comes to take a job, he puts everyone to sleep, Gree explained. What's up with that? It's very suspicious. Lucy was a little surprised. So no one but the master knows his face, the ice mage finished, turning to look at the master. No, I know him too. A new voice spoke, drawing his attention. Laxus. Elfman spoke, somewhat startled. So you were here? Wakaba asked. Another of the strongest, Grace said to Lucy, clearly annoyed by the new wizard's presence. Mistigan is shy, don't stick your nose into this, Laxus said with a smile, watching them from the second-floor railing. Natsu stood up from the chair where he had been writing his will and looked challengingly at Laxus. Laxus, fight me, I shout defiantly. You were just defeated by Urza a moment ago, Gray said sadly. It's true, if you can't beat Urza, there's no way you can defeat me. Laxus spoke haughtily without wiping the smile off his face. What are you insinuating? The redhead asked, her face filled with fear. Hey Urza, calm down, said Gray, very scared. I am the strongest, Laxus declared, raising his arms, but out of nowhere he froze when he felt a hand on his shoulder followed by a strong pressure, making him look back, causing his face to pale. Laxus-chan, I thought we talked about this, said a certain blonde with marked cheeks and forehead with a smile, and then locked Laxus in a crystal prison. I hate it when you get emo, he said with his sinister smile, and then proceeded to hit Laxus's forehead with his fingers, causing him to start bouncing at great speed before Lucy's incredulous gaze. This man had just defeated an S-rank mage from the strongest guild with a single blow, and in a very humiliating way. After leaving Laxus locked in his crystal prison, Naruto jumped towards the master. What now? Lucy asked. Welcome back, Naruto, the master said with a smile. I'm home, Naruto greeted, giving one of his signature smiles. After 5 years, he was home again. Naruto! Most of the members shouted happily. How are you guys? How have you been? I said, turning around. Naruto-sama, Juvia misses him so much, said the Rain Woman as she jumped towards Naruto, who caught him in a bridal fashion only for the Rain Woman to rub her cheek against Naruto's. It's good to have you back. Greetings, Kana. Yes, welcome, Naruto. Mira spoke to him with a smile. And who is he? Lucy asked, confused by the attention the boy was receiving. He is Naruto. The good one is the elite among the elite of the guild, as you can see. Even if Mistigan, Urza and Laxus fought him in a 3 versus 1, Naruto would crush them with ease. Levi explained with a smile. Hey, but I've never heard his name before, unlike Mistigan, Titania, and even Laxus, the blonde said, surprised. Hee hee, well, maybe just like Urza, what you've heard is her nickname. Or maybe you don't know about the Dragon King. I ask, amused. What? That young boy is the Dragon King, but I thought he was some old man or something, Lucy said in surprise. If that's what everyone believes before meeting him, but he likes it that way, he says it's fun, Droy said while watching Naruto greet several members still with Juvia in his arms like a tick. The blonde turned to see where Lucy was with the Shadow Gear members and walked towards them. Hello, I see you're a new face. My name is Naruto Mikitsuki. It's a pleasure to meet you, he greeted once he was in front of the girl. Oh, hee hee. Hi, my name is Lucy. The pleasure is all mine, I replied, a little surprised at how kind and normal the guy seemed compared to the rest. Naruto, fight me! Natsu shouted, looking out from behind the counter and standing behind the blonde, who only turned around with a kick of golden flames that sent Natsu into a wall of the guild. Before Lucy's disbelief, the blonde had used fire on Natsu and it had worked. Don't interrupt me while I'm talking. Also, Natsu, what did you do in Harjin? Naruto's voice turned dark and deep, scaring all the members, even Lucy. What was that? The blonde asked, trembling with fear. Well, as you can see, Naruto isn't called the Dragon King for nothing. He's like Natsu, but if his steroids were on steroids. Grace spoke, equally scared while hugging Happy. Happy said, crying. I think that was enough punishment, don't you think? Urza calmly approached the blonde. Oh, hello Er-chan, I heard about the advice, I hope. And by the way, Natsu, we talked about acting without thinking, Naruto said, recovering his smile and turning to see the redhead finally leaving Juvia on the ground to look threateningly at his most troublesome little brother. Don't worry, it was just a warning, though thanks for asking, the girl replied, crossing her arms with a slight smile. The guild members breathed a sigh of relief as they watched things calm down. Hey, what happened? Even Urza, who was upset a little while ago, seems calmer, Lucy said, a little surprised. Well, Naruto is quite close to Urza. The two of them, along with Miliana, Sho, Simon, Grandpa Rob, and Juvia, arrived on the same day and they have a past together, Grace said, calmer, while Happy tried to get Natsu off the wall. Oh, thanks for reminding me of that, Gray. How about you getting arrested 45 times for public nudity, and another 23 for stealing clothes off clotheslines? Naruto started scolding Gray, causing him to shrink. At least he didn't hit him, but he was upset. I see, but I must say I was surprised by the difference in the way Naruto was received compared to Laxus, Lucy said as she watched the guild members surround the blonde again so he would leave poor Gray. As you may have noticed, the two are very different from each other. While Laxus focuses on his own strength, Naruto looks out for others more. He has even helped train many of the members, including Natsu and Gray, said Levi. Wait, how strong is he? I asked, really surprised. Well, Naruto is the first holy wizard, that is to say, he is the strongest wizard in all of Fiori, but he is also very noble and everyone here sees him with great respect, almost like an older brother in most cases, which is why it is believed that he will be the one the master chooses as the guild's successor, Mira said with a smile, reaching to one side of the blonde, who just moved forward with her head and turned to see Naruto, who was now scolding Natsu, to Gray's relief. Naruto boy, how did your mission go? The teacher asked, saving Natsu as Naruto face-palmed himself, remembering he had forgotten something important. Oration cease, he said, making Makarov, Rob, Miliana, Sho, Simon and Urza get serious out of nowhere, while the other guild members looked somewhat scared if Naruto being serious about a dark guild was something bad. What do you have on them? Rob asked, between worried about his other 6 children and annoyed that only Naruto knew the truth about him because they were in the alliance, and he couldn't risk sending a letter and having it intercepted by a dark guild. It must be discussed privately, Master, tonight at my house. Exclusively for the Tower of Heaven group and S-class mages or higher, Naruto said, making the Master, Mira, and the Tower of Heaven group nod. And about the mission? Makarov asked. Naruto, the Dragon King proudly returns from a successful 1000-year quest, and my quest log is still intact, Naruto boasted, surprising everyone. They then remembered that it was Naruto they were talking about, the guy who didn't know the definition of impossible. In fact, most were sure he wasn't capable of eliminating it. A 1000-year quest? Lucy asks. They are considered the most difficult missions in the magical continent, since they are missions that no magician has been able to complete in more than 1,000 years, and now Naruto-sama became the first magician to successfully complete one. Juvia shouted. You brats know what that means, don't you? Our guild officially has you as the first to have a 1,000-year quest completed. Makarov shouted. Party! Everyone shouted, then started a fairy tale style party. At the same time, Elemental Continent. It had not been a good year for Jiraiya of the Sannin. A year ago he had heard rumors of a young man identical to Naruto living in Earthland, so with permission Minato, and the Fire Daimyo himself, he left for the kingdom of Fiori with the goal of finding his fugitive godson, who to his horror found himself on a 1,000-year search from which no magician returned alive. But he soon discovered that Naruto was not just any magician. Flashback 6 months ago, borders of Fiori. We can see how Naruto was sitting on the lion head of what seemed to be a chimera with his eyes closed while the wind swayed his golden hair, when out of nowhere he smelled the scent of a certain man he had been waiting for. After all these years, it's good to see you, Naruto. Look how you've grown. I bet you're a babe magnet. Jiraiya commented mischievously, causing Naruto to open his eyes and give him a look that would freeze hell itself. What is Konoha's spy master doing here in Fiori? I must remind you, Jiraiya-san, that our countries are not allies and your presence here is an act of war, he said in an emotionless voice as he continued to stare at Jiraiya. Come on, Naruto, I'm your godfather. Don't tell me you don't remember me anymore. Come on, stop playing and let's go home. Your parents are worried about you. I don't know what Jiraiya-san is talking about, but I ask you kindly return to Konoha or I will take this as an act of war and take this information to His Majesty the King, he said, causing Jiraiya to stare at him. Come on, Naruto, you know what I'm talking about. Your parents Namikaze Minato and Namikaze Kushina, whom you destroyed when you ran away from home over 18 years ago. By the way, you look very young, even younger than Mito-chan the way you do it. I ask interested since Naruto looked 19 years old when he should be around 26. My appearance is none of your business. Last warning, Jiraiya-san, return to your village or I will send you back to Konoha in a coffin with a nice declaration of war attached to your coffin, he said, finally standing up, causing his marks until now covered by the shadow of the chimera's goat head to become visible. So it will be. I was hoping not to have to use force with you, but there is no other option. Attacking Naruto was possibly the worst decision he ever made in his life, as he learned from ending up near death after a single attack from Naruto that from what he could hear was called the Forest Dragon's Hard Fist. The Toad Sannin understood one thing: Naruto had raw power in his system, and was far stronger than his sister, a current SS rank jounin in the bingo books and a Godame Hokage candidate, as that single blow easily destroyed all of her bones and possibly tore several internal organs. For the good times I spent with you when I still loved the one that was once my family, I will let you live, but if I see even a simple genin in Fiori again, I will destroy Konoha until it is nothing more than a memory in the history of the world. Oh, and one more thing, Namikaze Naruto died 19 years ago, and in his place now lives Naruto Mikazuki, son of Selene the Dragon Goddess of the Moon and ace of the Fairy Tale Guild. Now with your permission, Jiraiya-san, I have 2 brats, 2 cats with talking wings and an adorable girl to look for before returning home after a successful 1,000-year search. With those words, Naruto simply began to argue without giving a last look to Jiraiya, who saw him shocked. He couldn't. Naruto the talentless child couldn't be Naruto Mikazuki, the first holy magician, the strongest god of Ishgar, whose power was so great that he stopped being considered a human and began to be considered a god. If this was true, he had to find out. End of flashback. It turned out to be true. After 2 weeks recovering with the toads, Jiraiya returned to Fiori, more specifically to Iare, where a book called Wizard Saints, Humans or Gods was sold. Book in which he found the first 6 holy wizards being impressed with Seat 6 Makarov Dreyer the Titan, user of giant magic that would allow him to grow to sizes that would make the Bijus look like dwarves. Seat 5 Warod Sequin, ex-god of Ishgar, after losing his seat when Naruto the Dragon King defeated him one-on-one. He is a user of a magic that closely resembled Mokuton, which gave him extreme longevity comparable to the Uzumaki. Seat 4, also called the 4th god of Ishgar, Wolheim, was another terrifying power that with his transformation magic was able to give a clean blow to both God Serena and Naruto Mikazuki. However, they defeated him easily. The third god of Ishgar, Draculo's Hyberian user of vampire magic, was another terrifying power capable of controlling his opponents and making them do what he wants, magic that unfortunately was not useful against God Serena and Naruto Mikazuki because, in the words of both, dragons do not bow to a human. Almost reaching the end, he met the former number one god of Ishgar, God Serena, the extravagant magician user of 8 lacrima of Dragon Slayer, earning the nickname God Serena of the 8 dragons, with magic such as the DS of the Sea King, the DS of Purgatory, the DS of the Cavern, the DS of the Gale. He remained for years as the strongest magician in Fiori until the arrival of that man, and finally the one that Jiraiya wanted to check everything was a bomb. Naruto Namikaze was Naruto Mikazuki, the magician who defeated God Serena in a humiliating and unilateral way, generating a Guy/Kakashi relationship in the process. Naruto the King Dragon, a man who only mentions his name, provokes fear in his enemies. He didn't want to have to report this to Minato or the council. Minato would be devastated with the news that his son would destroy the village if they gave him the slightest reason to do so, and the council would practically demand he come back and give him their loyalty, and turn him into a sperm machine. "Naruto, you troublesome bastard!" Jiraiya muttered before entering the village. Back in Fairy Tail, everyone was talking to Naruto, updating him on what they had done in these 5 years of joy when he found out that Natsu, the problem child who always challenged him, and his little sister Lisa were in a relationship, although of course, as a good older brother, he warned him that if he hurt her, she would hurt him. He was happy when he saw Juvia's new spells, the Water Nebula and the Aquatic Dragon, but before Gray could show him his new spells, Naruto began to breathe strangely, almost as if he were going to. "Master, we have Code Green," Urza shouted, making everyone except Lucy pale. "Quick, the box!" the teacher shouted, then threw a box made from his crystal dragon DS, only for him to sneeze a few seconds later with enough force to hit the box and send it crashing into the wall. "Are you kidding me? How strong is he to do that?" Lucy screamed in fear. "Hee, if the green code is like that," Naruto sneezing the first time it happened, "it took us a week to clean up and rebuild the city," Lisana said. "Don't worry, rookie, it happens very rarely. But when it does, things really go wrong," Naruto said with a smile. With the problem solved, everyone returned to normal until out of nowhere 3 children with 2 cats similar to Happy, one of which the blonde one specifically looked very upset, entered the guild, and to Rob and Urza's surprise the girl in the group was identical to a Sorano. "Why did you leave us, big brother?" the blonde yelled accusingly at Naruto, causing Simon to try to make the blonde brat see his place. "I said it was my house and you'll settle, and plus I had to take care of your and Rouge's fusion," he said while pointing to the 2nd floor where Laxus was still bouncing around in the crystal prison. "But you didn't even say where your house was. You just gave us the keys to the door. I'm claiming the black hair now. You're dragon slayers. Use your nose for more than just smelling food," he said, causing the 2 children to look at him with amused expressions of pleasure. "Sting-san, Rouge-san, calm down. You both know that in a fight Naruto-sama would mop the floor with you again. Come listen to Yukino-chan. That's why she's my favorite of the 3. She's the one who disobeys me the least," he said, then stroked Yukino's white head. "Naruto-kun, who are they?" Urza asked, confused by the scene. "Oh right, I forgot, Master. Guys, this is Sting Eucliffe. He is a 3rd-generation dragon slayer of the White Dragon," he said, pointing to the blonde boy with the reddish-brown cat. "The emo is Rogue Cheney, Sting's sworn brother, and a 3rd-generation dragon slayer of the Shadow Dragon," he said, pointing to the black-haired boy who just shouted, "I'm not emo," before being silenced by a blow to the head from Naruto. "And the girl is Yukino Agria. She is Sorano's little sister," he said, causing the group from the Tower of Heaven to lower their heads, unsure of telling Naruto about the members of Oration Cease. "I see, and tell me, what relationship do they have with you?" Makarov asked. "Older brother promised to train us, but so far he's only made us look for a certain Kagura, who by the way is in." Sting tried to shout, only to be sent to the wall by a kick from Naruto. "Oh right, Simon brother found your little sister. The neutral news is in mermaid heels. The bad ones didn't let me see her because I'm a man and that guild doesn't allow men. The good Yukino-chan managed to tell her that you were part of Fairy Tail and promised to come see you from time to time on the condition that you go see her." she said calmly, causing the magician of darkness to hug her tightly enough for a crack sound to be heard. Brother, I heal quickly, but that doesn't mean I'm immune to pain, he said with difficulty. I'm sorry, it's just that I'm finally happy to see my little sister again. And I have 3 broken ribs, but man, glad to help one of my little brothers now. Reader takes stings but out of the ear, we have to get them in shape. Yes, big brother, said the brown cat, who went to pull the blonde out of the hole in the wall. Rogue Yukino, you're all set. The afternoon's off. Frog cat, make some friends, look out for Happy. I give up. There's no one normal in this industry, Lucia moaned. I'm normal, Gray said, only in his boxers. Gray the clothes, Kana said. Not again, I shouted, running out to find my clothes as Naruto covered Yukino and Frosha's eyes with his hands. Hours later, Naruto's house. After Naruto essentially exhausted Sting, he was dragged to Naruto's apartment complex where he and Rogue decided to share a room together until they were a little older, either of them wanting to admit that they were terrified of their parents' vengeful spirits for accidentally killing them. Yukino, for her part, stayed on the Strauss floor with Lee Sana and Elfman, who kept imagining Yukino as a mini-clone of Lee Sana, and finally Naruto found himself in the living room of his shared apartment with Juvia, currently with Mira, the teacher, a beaten-up Laxus fresh out of the glass cage, Simon, Rob, Miliana, Sho, and Urza. It's time, Naruto said as he took out a communication lacrima where, to the surprise and horror of many, the image of the 6 traitors was projected on the same lacrima: Cobra, the master of the Dark 6 Prayer Guild, Sorano the Angel of Prayer 6, Midnight the Sloth, Racer the Speedster, and the Demon Brothers Richard and Wally. Naruto, what does this mean? Makarov shouted, causing Naruto's ki to hit him like a ton of bricks. As the first holy magician, I order you to shut up and listen. 6th, Naruto said seriously, surprising everyone. He had never spoken like that to the master before, and he even hated using the name of holy magician unless. Calm down, big brother, it's understandable. Oration Cease doesn't have a good reputation. I'm speaking Cobra. You bastard, how can you talk to Naruto-kun like that? They betrayed us, created a dark guild with the name Naruto gave them, and joined the Balam Alliance. A betrayed and hurt Urza ranted. Only a quarter of that is true, big sister, Sorano said. We would never betray you or brother. Naruto. Prayer 6 is a fake dark guild created to infiltrate the Alliance and provide information to Big Brother. We regret the things we've done, but if you look closely, we never committed any serious crimes. Why did you do that, idiots? Do you know how much I cried thinking that you took a dark path? How much Grandpa Rob cried, how much Sho, Miliana, or Simon did. No, but we get the idea and believe that Big Sister will haunt us forever, Richard said, his head bowed. Let me see if I understand this sentence. 6. One of the 3 great dark guilds is basically a way to obtain information from Tartaros and Grimoire Heart, Makarov said, stunned. Believe me, Master, I'm the most annoying to them here, and when this is all over, I'll kick their asses until it hurts to sit down, Naruto commented. And they deserve it, they shouldn't make Grandpa Rob cry like that, Urza shouted. Big Brother will soon finish the mission, Tartaros began to suspect. We already have enough information to make you defeat Grimoire Heart, not enough about Tartaros, but they will make a mistake soon and it will be the opportunity to finish them off, Wally said. That's why I gathered the few that Laxus trusted. You're a pain in the ass 99% of the time, but your heart doesn't lie. You love Fairy Tail more than anything and you don't want it to dissolve, that's why you act like this, he said, pointing at the blonde who just snorted, knowing he couldn't contradict his blonde companion. Master, I have a plan to save my brothers, but I need your help. This is very troublesome. Naruto, what do you need? Of Prayer 6 we only know the 4 gods of Ishgar along with Warad-sama, and the king. Why not the council? Mira asked. 2 names: Seagrain alias Jalal Fernandez, one of the 7 I don't know what from the purgatory of Grimoire Heart, and the old org is part of Tartaros. That damn Jalal is still alive, shouted Simon. Prayer 6, Miliana and Sho couldn't help but feel sick knowing this. Well, Prayer 6 already knew it, but that didn't change the fact that it made them sick. Old Rob just groaned inwardly. Unfortunately, my spy and grimoire heart saved him before I could destroy him when I destroyed the Tower of Heaven. Fortunately, Altair Milkovich saw the light when I forced her to do so during my 1,000-year quest when she tried to recruit me for Grimoire Heart, and now she is my spy there. I'm lost. Who is this Jalal? And why do they hate him so much? Laxus asked. Naruto didn't hate anyone, God. You could even stab him in the heart, and he wouldn't hate you, so if he hated that guy, he must have done something horrible. It's a long story, Naruto said before taking a breath. So Naruto told everything that happened in the Tower of Heaven, how he became the father of the children receiving the punishments instead of everyone in the Pillar of Hope for the slaves earning the respect and loyalty of all the slaves, all except one, the stupid Jalal, who as soon as he arrived tried to break the trust that everyone had towards him, failing in each attempt and making Naruto suffer more punishments on purpose. He told how because of Jalal, Urza lost her right eye because of her lack of wisdom when trying to escape, despite the escape plan that they had been planning and executing for 4 years. Their Laxus understood it. Naruto didn't hate Jalal for all the above, he hated him for Urza's eye. Naruto would forgive anyone who hurts him, but if he hurts his precious beings, it's a different story. He then told how after removing his right eye he transplanted it to Urza, his being an artificial eye given to him by his sister Altaria after escaping from the Tower of Heaven and receiving the worst scolding of his life from the clan. He told how after everyone escaped, Jalal tried to kill him for no reason, sentencing him to the hatred of every fairy tale wizard. Juvia hates / I hate that guy. Juvia, Mira, and Laxus said. Normally I disagree, but after hearing that I can't. That boy isn't human, Makarov said. Now, regarding Oration Cease. This is the plan with God Serena, Draculos Dano, and Wolfheim Dano. We will use our influence to put Oration Cease under my custody after we defeat them, but for that an alliance of guilds is required with Juvia and Urza. We will go to Blue Pegasus tomorrow. We will inform Master Bob what we talked about here, and we will ask his best magicians for the false mission we have planned. Laxus, I can trust that you will go to Lamia's Scale and talk to Jura-san is not true. Consider it done whether you understand this or not. These 6 are S-class wizards. If they join the guild, we would have 6 more powers. Laxus means he'll gladly help you, Naruto said with a smile. Time skip / the next morning / Master, a mission from the 2nd floor is missing, Mira shouted as she came down the stairs. What dice? Aslak shouted in surprise. Who would be foolish enough to do that? Biska asked excitedly. I saw a little blue cat take it last night, Laxus said, sitting at a table on the 2nd floor. Happy, Mira said worriedly. That means Natsu and Lucy, said Aslak, still in surprise. Laxus, why didn't you stop him? Strauss asked, climbing to the 2nd floor and standing next to the blonde. All I saw was a cat with a piece of paper in its mouth climb out the window. I can't imagine they'd be dumb enough to steal an S-class mission. He mockingly defended himself, causing Mira to give him a dark look. Oh, it's been a while since you saw me like that, demon, she said with a smile. What was the mission they went on? The teacher asked seriously. The Cursed Island Galuna contest. Look without taking your eyes off Laxus. Those guys are crazy, was the shout of several members of the guild. Laxus, bring them back, ordered the teacher. Impossible, old man, remember? I have to go to you know where for you know what. Besides, they're magicians of this guild, they can take care of themselves. Contest in a calm manner. Urza and Naruto are not here. Who else besides you can bring Natsu by force? Makarov said worriedly. Master, don't worry, Gray said, standing up from his table. Grayu the teacher was a little surprised. I will bring them back. After saying this I leave the guild. Makarov stared at the door for a moment. Look, the teacher called to the white-haired girl. What's wrong, teacher? I asked once I was back on the 1st floor. Send a message to Blue Pegasus. Ask them to notify those 3 about this. The master's order surprised the white-haired girl. But then, what about Gray? Said Strauss, confused. I trusted in Gray's strength, but considering his relationship with Natsu, it's possible that he'll end up accompanying them, he explained seriously. I see, okay, I'll send the message right away, she said calmly and left the place. Send Urza and Naruto, said a surprised Roy next to his team. I hope Gray brings them back or else they'll suffer a lot, Jet said, a little scared. Poor Luchan, said Levi, worried about her friend. Clover City / Naruto, Juvia and Urza met at the train station. Although they had no problems delivering the package to Master Bob, they were affected by a small delay named Ichiya. That Ichiya is really a pain, Urza said in an annoyed tone, letting out a sigh at the amused looks of her lovers. Oh come on, it's not that bad, he just likes you. The Naruto contest is fun. You say that because IT doesn't stick to you like a bee to honey, Urza exclaimed in the blonde's ear. Damn, I'll need several baths to get rid of its essence, she said while hugging herself, and a shiver ran down her spine. That's the power of my perfume, Ichiya said, suddenly appearing behind the bench where they were sitting. The three wizards screamed in fear and quickly moved away from the bench, turning to look at the little man. Ichiya! Damn it, don't scare us like that, Naruto scolded him as the color returned to his face. Don't get near me, Urza exclaimed, threatening Ichiya with a sword, standing behind Naruto using the blonde as a shield. Don't get upset, Urza-san, although I must admit that perfume goes perfectly with you. It's your very essence, he spoke, inspired, while a rose garden appeared behind him, to the horror of Urza and Juvia, who hid behind Naruto, who was now seriously thinking about adding a cape to his suit. Seriously, everyone was hiding behind him lately. Just tell us why Ichiya came, Naruto interrupted, annoyed at always seeing the same thing. This message came for you, said the little man, offering a letter in a cool pose, so to speak. Naruto took the letter and opened it, beginning to read it, with Urza looking over the blonde's shoulder, still behind him. As they continued reading, their eyes darkened with the shadow of their hair, and a magical aura surrounded their bodies. Those idiots, Naruto said darkly, as he destroyed the letter with wind magic. This won't stay like this, Urza spoke in the same gloomy tone as her partner. Excuse me, what's wrong, Urza-san? Ichiya asked, getting too close to the redhead. Get lost! Urza yelled at him, giving him a powerful kick. Me-inin! Ichiya shouted as he flew back to the Blue Pegasus Guild. You weren't exaggerating a bit, Urza-san, what else put them in such a bad mood? Juvia asks, confused. Natsu stole an S-class mission, Naruto said grimly. We don't have time, we have to go get Natsu, Urza said, and immediately the three mages started running to the nearest port. Chapter 4. The Past. With Jiraiya / council room / After a long walk to clear his head and think of a way to inform the Konoha Council about what he discovered about Naruto, and especially about the privileged position he had in Fiori as the first holy magician, being virtually a god to the people in Fiori, so far the best he had was trying to invent a space-time jutsu to travel to the past and hit Minato and Kushina from 19 years ago so that they would train Naruto and Mito equally, but according to several authors and the great sages of Toad Mountain themselves, that would only create a parallel timeline without truly affecting his timeline. Now standing at the gates of Konoha, he had no choice but to tell the truth and pray to the gods that the council wasn't stupid enough to start a war with Fiori out of their hunger for power. He overestimated them as soon as the words Naruto Namikaze is actually Naruto Mikazuki aka the Dragon King came out of his mouth, and the council room pandemonium broke out. The civilians and the three elder counselors advised, if not to say demanded, to send ANBU squads to capture him and make him a loyal weapon to Konoha, clearly thinking that the ANBU, the living definition of cannon fodder par excellence, could against a wizard saint who stopped being considered a human and was seen as a god at the age of 13, and on top of that he had an entire guild with 5 S-class wizards and several more members backing him up, not to mention the other 9 wizard saints who respect and admire him, in addition to a certain dark guild of which Jiraiya knew that Naruto was the indirect leader. Without a doubt that was a battle they would not win. Silence! Minato shouted, clearly annoyed by what the civilians, more specifically Danzo, wanted to do to his son. We won't do that if Jiraiya-sensei, one of the 3 legendary Sannin of Konoha, was defeated in one hit, which makes them think the ANBU have a chance. Hatake Kakashi and Itachi Uchiha could set a civilian thinking that 2 S-class shinobis would be enough to defeat and subdue a holy magician who is rumored to be capable of destroying cities with a sneeze. It would be of no use, he is an accomplished dragon slayer. When I was in Fiore, I found out everything about him. He is immune to the jutsu of the 5 elements. His scales are as hard as diamond, which makes him immune to taijutsu. And dragons are invulnerable to illusion, which prevents us from using genjutsu. The only thing that could harm him would be senjutsu. But he has a spell called Dragon Force, which is equivalent to senjutsu, and according to you can activate it at will. What's a Dragon Slayer? And what about Dragon Force? Danzo asked, interested if it had anything to do with dragons. He knew he would be powerful, and if he got the boy, he could dominate the shinobi continent, and maybe even the magical one. Dragon Slayer is a very old magic that is hardly seen today. To date there are 5 known: Cobra of Prayer, 6 a Dark Guild of the Balam Alliance, Gajio Red Fox or Black Steel of Phantom Lord, Natsu Dragneel or Salamander of Fairy Tale, God Serena of the 8 Dragons, and Naruto Mikitsuki the Dragon King, also of Fairy Tale. These 5 possess the magic capable of killing dragons, and with respect to the Force Dragon, it is a metamorphosis. He explained the basics. A metamorphosis? Fugaku Uchiha asked. From what I heard, it is said that those dragon slayers who have killed a dragon and bathed in its blood undergo a metamorphosis called draconification that turns them more dragon than human, but this can take years or even decades. The intermediate stage of this is called Dragon Force or Dragon Force, a hybrid form between a human and a dragon, and with it their physical abilities and reserves of magical power increase enormously. You say Naruto-chan killed and bathed in the blood of a dragon? Kushina asked, alarmed. No, as far as we know, Naruto the Dragon King has killed more than 15 dragons, but he claims to have killed 20, among them Asterion the Tundra Dragon from Yuki no Kuni, who was expelled when Doto Kazuhana took power. Amazement, shock, fear, 3 words described the emotions of the people in the meeting room. Everyone had heard about Asterion the Tundra Dragon from Yuki no Kuni, although some believed it to be a legend or a tale to make children behave, with very few truly believing in its existence. These 3 groups knew one thing in each tale, each legend. And whatever spoke about that dragon described it as one of the strongest dragons, only below the 13 princes and the 2 great dragon kings. In fact, in a legend of the Uchiha clan, it was said that Asterion fought against Ice and the Arctic Dragon, who was one of the 13 dragon princes and lived to tell the tale. So if Naruto really killed the dragon of such level, that meant that. If the boy really killed Asterion, that only makes him more valuable. Minato. We must send our best ANBU to capture him, and make him loyal to the village. Danzo said, drooling internally at the idea of having such power. It wouldn't be a good idea. Danzo. Naruto is one of the 4 gods of Ishgar. His political power and influence is only below the king of Fiore. An attack on his person would only provoke a war with a much more technologically advanced country like Floor. We're talking technology like Yuki no Kuni, we can handle that, said an arrogant Hamura. Much more advanced than that, they have cannons that fire magic that could reduce Konoha to ashes with a single shot, and a weapon called Aetherion that was made to destroy countries as a last resort. Not to mention that Fiore has an army of 2,400,000 loyal and willing to die for the crown, and it is said that there are around 1,700,000 mages divided into guilds that if necessary will fight to protect their country. Jiraiya reported. You're joking, sensei. His army alone is almost double the population of the Big 5 combined. I would like that, Minato, but it's true the population of Fiore is 17 million inhabitants, and of those about 10% can use magic, and although most of the Rune Knights can use it, they shouldn't be underestimated because from what I could see they have the level of an average genie, and that's not counting them. He said, referring to the 10 holy magicians. Who are they, Jiraiya-sama? Shikaka Nara asked. They are the 10 holy magicians, a group of 10 magicians who are said to be the 10 most powerful magicians in Fiore. Seats 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. 5 are terrifying, especially the 6th seat, Makarov Dreyer, the master of fairy tale user of Titan magic that allows him to grow to sizes similar to a tailed beast, and the 5th War-Out, a former god of Ishgar who possesses magic very similar to Shodame-sama. Ex-god? Ah, that's it. 4th seat, Wolheim is a transformation mage who can turn into really powerful creatures capable of destroying a city. Just kidding, right? Saminuzuka wondered about what Jiraiya negotiated with her head. Continuing, the 3rd seat, Draculos Hyberian, a vampire magician that allows him to control anyone, The second seat is God Serena, a second-generation dragon slayer who possesses 8 dragon slayer magics that for 10 years appeared invincible, until he said, and then threw a folder with several photos and files. That's all I got from Naruto, his magician file, a basic